Okay, I'm done stretching. I'm ready for pain. Who's ready for pain? Apparently, Cefico sent me a thing. It says, "You're in for a world of pain" over on the Discord server. Oh, if only he knew. Oh boy. Nah, this one won't be too bad. I know what I'm doing. I'm a trained professional at Final Fantasy II. Trust me. I don't speedrun it because speedrunning Final Fantasy II is boring as hell. But I'm a trained professional, so you're all in good hands. Oh my god. Hey, Conquer, it's going good. How's it going for you there? Sounds like you're not actually ready for pain. I'm not, because I'm not planning on having any pain. So I did not make myself ready for it because I don't think there will be any. So why prepare for it, you know? Then it will be far funnier if there is any pain if I didn't prepare for it because I don't expect it. At least that's the way that I say it anyway. That's the way that I see it. It would just be funnier this way. So that's why we did not excuse me, we did not make any plans for pain. Playing Pokemon Mystery Dungeon Blue Rescue Team for old time's sake. Oh, nice. Is it the old version of it, or is it the? I think there was a new version that came out, right? Like was it Mystery Dungeon DX or something like that? Excuse me. The old version, yeah, that's the one that I still have too. Yeah, I didn't update to the new one. I still have the old one kicking around in a box somewhere. I've thought about playing those games for the stream. I just feel like I don't know. There's just I enjoy them, but there's just something about them that I've always been kind of like, I don't know if this would make for a good streaming project. You know, like maybe it's the post game. I feel like the post game is probably half the reason why I've been like, in terms of a streaming project, because there's a lot of post game in Mystery Dungeon games. Oh my god. I don't know. It's a thought in my mind though. It's an apple in my eye. I have the new version. Probably won't get it. And you also have the OG red version. Oh, nice, nice. Yeah, my brother actually got Steve. My brother Steve actually got the red rescue team version when I got blue rescue team version. So we've. I was the only one to get Sky. I got Explorers of Sky. We didn't get Time and Darkness, and that was where we stopped. But yeah, so we've had both. It was usually what we would do when we were younger, though, is we would get like the one person would get one version and one person would get the other version, just so that way, if we wanted to, we could trade and we could each have everything that we wanted. So it was just more convenient that way than two people getting the same version. So, okay, let me take a drink and let's get this project moving. We get to watch an opening video before it starts because the opening to this one is the same as the opening of the PS1 version. So I will let it play and I will be back. I'm just kidding. I'm going to comment on it anyway. Holy hell, dude, those fingernails. How long did it take you to grow those out? Sorry, I figure if I'm going to play this, I'm going to have fun with it, so I'll just make my comments. Totally ruin the intended feeling of hopelessness that this sequence bears by showing these poor innocent villagers with their town burning to the ground. Yeah, the downtime kind of, it worries me a little bit because there's a lot of, like, potential for that, like, not even a grind necessarily, but there's potential for it. Oh, that's not good. Especially since those guys seem to have skipped the clock tower level and just gone straight to the streets of... Where are we again? Young lady, you might want to take your weapon out and defend yourself. Never mind. Big bro's got your back. Kind of. He looks like he might be having a little... Never mind. I was going to say trouble, but... It's pretty good. He's got a good swing. Oh, no, you don't. You're not stealing all the EXP from me. Nice throw, man. Straight in the eye and the neck. That'll put him down. For 5 seconds. Holy shit, these guys are tanky. Or maybe they just come back from death. What is this, Dark Souls? I can make that joke now because we've played it for the stream. What kind of fake nails did he have and where to even buy them? That is a fair question. I don't know. Where would you get fake nails in a game like... Well, actually, I shouldn't say that because Dragon's Dogma takes place in a similar time period, medieval-esque time period, and it has fake nails as accessories, so... I don't know, but you must be able to buy them somewhere. Probably not there anymore, though, because that place is burning to the ground, as is typical of most JRPGs, but this game gets a pass on it because this game came out in 1988, and... Well, what is that, 98, 2008, 2018, 36 years later, here we are with the Anniversary Edition, which is itself almost 20 years old. It's 17 years old right now. Not the Pixel Remaster, though. I want to play this one for a specific reason. How you doing, everybody? My name is Monochromium, and this is Final Fantasy II. And hello, Sephico. How you doing? Welcome back. It would not be a JRPG if your hometown wasn't burning down. That is true. Yeah, Leon! In the Ashley voice. Let's hope she's more capable in battle or we're going to have a lot of problems. So Final Fantasy II is often considered to be the black sheep of the Final Fantasy series. It's usually cited as most people's least favorite in the series. Now, I for one fundamentally think that does not come from the game being bad. I think it comes from the fact that the game is not well understood, and people get frustrated with it because they don't get its mechanics. I'm coming from a place where I was exactly like that when I was younger. When I was a teenager, I genuinely played this game with cheats on. I could not beat it without cheats. It just did not click in my head. However, through years and years of honing my craft, instead of becoming a doctor or something meaningful to society, I have become an expert at Final Fantasy II. Not to worry, I'm working on the certification part now as we speak, not in Final Fantasy II in nutrition. But we can share my knowledge with the rest of the internet now with Final Fantasy II, because I think it'll help if we come from a place, like, we approach the game at an angle from a person who actually knows what they're doing. Because I really hate the way that Final Fantasy II is represented on the internet because of how not well it's understood. A lot of the times you'll see reviewers who are supposed to be the authority on these things saying that the game is awful and citing their woeful anecdotes about the game, when in reality they just didn't get the mechanics and they let the enemies wail on them at the end of the game because they prioritized defense over evasion, for example. Why is evasion better than defense? We'll get into that in a little while. But I know what I'm doing. I'm a self-proclaimed expert. I have not data mined this game, so I don't have the data to back up what I say. The anecdotes that I have, however, have proven relatively consistent in terms of being able to beat this game with ease. So if you've never really played this one, or you've never really approached it because you've been told, oh, it sucks, the combat sucks, and there's just not really any redeeming value to it, please set that aside if you're joining us for this project. I'm going to show you how a real expert plays this game, and hopefully that'll give you some fresh perspective on the way that Final Fantasy II approaches things, because I genuinely think this is one of my... I don't know if it's one of the best Final Fantasies, but it's consistently in my own personal top 5 now that I understand how it works. So, yeah, we're going to play it from a point of expertise, and I'm not even going to say hopefully it goes well. I know it'll go well. I've done this before. Trust me. So... yeah, taking no damage is better than taking reduced damage, duh. Yeah, especially since enemies in the endgame ignore defense. Like, oh my god. There's a big PlayStation State of Play today. Oh, was there? I didn't see that. I did, in fact, hone my Billy Mitchell powers. Yeah, something like that. Yeah, I didn't see the State of Play today. Huh, maybe I'll have to go look at it after this. I don't know if it's anything I'd be interested in, but maybe not. As for our language selection, of course, we'll be playing with Japanese kana. No, we'll be playing in English because I'm good, but I'm not that good. I have not honed my craft in reading Japanese, unfortunately. I've spent too much time playing this game instead. All right, but we're playing the PSP version, by the way. I guess that should be clear by the HD graphics that we have going on here. We're not playing the Pixel remaster because the Dawn of Souls and PSP versions of this game, the PSP version is also sometimes called the Anniversary Edition because it came out in the 20th anniversary of Final Fantasy 1. The PSP and Dawn of Souls versions have some bonus content that I actually genuinely enjoy playing. So we're going to play the bonus content as well. So we're going to play through the base game with these four and a few others, and then we're going to play through the bonus content with a few other selections of party members as well. So a little bit of everything. Yeah, Leon does in fact make an appearance here as well. His hair looks a little different from what it was. He's got a hell of a widow's peak going on right now. But joining Leon on his grand adventures through... Does this world even have a name? I don't think it does, now that I think about it. Are Firion, Maria, and Guy. His name used to be Gus in the old PS1 translation, but they swapped it over to Guy. I know what I want to do with these characters in terms of their fighting prowess, but it's a little more customizable than Final Fantasy 1, as you can see here. You just name the characters, you don't pick their classes. So the classes are a little bit more customizable. You can kind of make anyone do anything. I haven't really decided who's going to do what yet, but before we do that, I think we should, get ready to get started. Let's jump right in, shall we? Actually, a PS State of Play is still live right now, is it? Okay, well, maybe it'll be better. Maybe I'll be able to catch the end of it by the end of this, or at the very least, the archives will be done, so... Gus sounds better than Guy, in your opinion? Yeah, and I mean, it sounds more like a name. It's not just, hey, here's this guy, you know? But, I don't know. I always played with Guy. Like, growing up, his name was Guy to me. I didn't play the PS1 version until... probably 8 years ago. So, and that was where he was Gus. So I said, yeah. It's like Aeris versus Aerith, right? Like, I grew up with Aeris, and it took some getting used to get Aerith right. Although Kingdom Hearts helped with that a lot. But Final Fantasy VII, I played that before I played KH1, so Aeris was what I started with, and then I had to switch over to Aerith. With Guy, I just kind of... Okay, his name is Guy. Yeah, Guy Firion? Guy Fieri? He's going to take him to Flavatown. He's a big guy. That's true. He is a big guy. He has the highest starting strength. We'll talk about stats later. Let's get started, shall we? Because I have narration to do. Ahem. A long-lived peace. Yeah, it looks pretty peaceful. They've even got a cat to help with them. Oh, is at an end. Great. How many villages are you going to burn down by the end of this intro? Jesus Christ, man. The Emperor of Palamecia has called forth monsters from the underworld and has begun his campaign for world conquest. A rebel army arose in the Kingdom of Fynn to thwart the Emperor's plans. It didn't rise very high. But the rebels' castle fell to an all-out assault by the Empire. Milady, we need to escape now. Let him be the bait. Left with little choice, the rebels withdrew to the remote town of Altair. Four youths from Fynn also found themselves fleeing the Imperial forces. They had lost their parents at the hands of the Empire, but their escape wasn't over. Okay, well, they throw us right back in. I guess those guys from town got on their horses and chased us through the woods. Well, okay, I guess we'll just fight them then. Aerith sounds like saying Eris with cotton or food in your mouth. Yeah, kind of, honestly. It's like a... I don't even know if that made any noise because of my pop filter, but you get that little, like you're swatting a fly out of your mouth or something. No peace under my rule, mongrels. Something like that, yeah. Okay, well, I mean, we did pretty good against these guys back in town, so let's just, I don't know, throw caution to the wind and attack them. By the way, this is where the expert in me needs to say this. If you go to the items menu in this version of the game, you can scroll up and you can actually remove Leon's equipment from here. You can remove everybody's equipment if you want to and stick it in the items menu. You might want to do that if you're playing this game, like, expert-wise. I'm not going to do that because why the hell would he remove his equipment? There's enemies in front of him. But you can do that because Leon drops dead right away. Holy hell, almost 1,000 damage? What do you expect me to do against that? Maria, run! Get out of there! Oh, well, okay. Well, God, man! Like, just hand me my own ass on a silver platter, why don't you? And that's it. The party's been defeated. They're all dead. The Black Knights will bury their bodies in the ocean, and, well, the game's over. I hope you enjoyed Final Fantasy II, the Stream Edition, because we're not going anywhere anytime soon. Oh, they didn't even take their bodies. They just left them for dead. Well, they took Leon's body. That's a little weird, huh? If you're the cavalry, you're a little late. Yeah, and roll credits. Good stream, guys. That was the shortest Final Fantasy ever. It just about was. However, the cavalry had a white wizard in their pocket. So, that helps a little bit. Okay, sounds like we're not quite dead yet, sir. We can increase the speed of the text in just a minute, by the way, once we get out of the opening cutscene. So if it's a little slow for everybody right now, don't worry, we'll be able to fix it. Well, thankfully, you guys got to us in time. Although, you're not saying their life. Why are you saying specifically Firion? Well, I'll tell you, because he's the main character, but, you know, we'll talk about that in a minute. His friends are alright, though. Yeah, last time, we died! We got better. At least they didn't turn me into a newt. I won't be turning into a reptile anytime soon, but if I get my way, we'll be turning a few enemies into amphibians by the time we're done with this one. So... Oh, the Dreadnought? Oh, that just sounds terrible. Must be a pretty big airship if it's gonna cause problems like that. I mean, what else could it be, right? The Dreadnought Leviathan. Good morning, Chrono. Wait, wrong game. Well, you're in a healing sigil, but without your friends. Where could they have gone? Guess we better go explore the town then, see if we can find them. Or we could find two of them right away. No, I'm not quite done with this world yet, Maria. Ah, the Rebel Army theme. Always brings a nice warm feeling to my heart. Oh, wonder if they took him prisoner. Sorry, Maria, I know he's your brother, but... Maybe the princess will help us get him back? I mean, he was a citizen of Fynn too, so I can't imagine she wouldn't want to look out for her own citizens. Let's go ask her! I especially love this part where they go down into the acoustics. That's really good. Well, I mean, your magic and the healing sigil helped quite a bit with that, to be fair. We owe you our lives. That being said, we want to go throw them away, like, right now, because our friend is nowhere to be found. I mean... Firion had pretty good aim with those knives in the opening, to be fair. He knows a little bit of battle. To be fair, he only had one hit on each of those knives, but, you know. Yeah, we were escaping from the same place you were, to be fair. Well, we escaped from the town, you escaped from the castle. Technically, you had farther to run. Damn it. No army for us. Guess we'll just have to be a bunch of adventurers instead. Or we could just stay in town. Okay, so what's the password? So one of the main aspects of the dialogue system in Final Fantasy II is these red terms that have the little that attaches to them, that little sound effect. So you can learn these red terms by pressing the learn button in the little dialog box there. So now we have the Wild Rose term available in our learn conditions, our learn dialog box for the rest of the game. And any NPC that presents this dialog box will allow us to ask them about anything that we've learned over the course of the game. It's sort of like a flag for old, this is like for old RPGs. Remember, we're thinking in terms of 1988 here, where this was unprecedented technology. It's a way of allowing NPCs to say more than what they just say generally speaking. Like, now we can ask the princess about Wild Rose and about the rebellion without them having to, I mean, they have to program in new dialogue boxes, but it's not like she's just run-on sentencing the whole thing to you and exposition dumping on you all at once. Now you can choose to ask about it if you want to, which we will. We cannot escape this kill-death ratio, Your Majesty. We have to improve it, or else all the kids online will call me bad names. I mean, they'll do that anyway, but you know. It's a neat system. I like it because, again, it gives the player some agency. If they don't want to hear it, they don't have to. But if they do want to get more information, they can get it because they can choose to ask about it. It's a really neat system for 1988. I think they did a good job with it. It's one of those little things, you know what I mean? And I think that's, from the get up, if they have these little things going for me, I'm one of those people that likes those little details, so I feel like that's one of the reasons why this game just sort of hits me right here, you know? So. A future that flourishes as wild and free as the rose you're talking about. I don't think I've ever seen wild roses, now that I think about it. But there it is. Yeah, I was gonna say, maybe, yeah, exactly. Maybe your brother is there, Maria? So, how do we get in? I know you just said we can't join the army, but at great personal risk, we may be able to get back to the town. Oh. So we'll have to employ some Assassin's Creed rooftop running? Is that what you're telling me? Or just doing that? Okay. Sounds like you already know what we've got in our hearts of hearts here. We're gonna head out and we're gonna go to that town no matter what. So we'll see what we can do. No, I'll leave it on default. I had it on default. I usually set it to memory, but ever since I've played Shin Megami Tensei Nocturne, I've sort of just left things on default and gone with the rhythm of doing stuff like that. We'll set the message speed a little higher, though, so that helps us out a little bit. Yeah, that's all fine. Portrait's on. Okay, window color. So let's get this all set up in such a way that it gives us that nice wine color that the game has. I think it's 1248, I want to say. That looks right. Let's keep that going. So go down by 2 with the blue, 1 with the green, and 3 with the red. And we should be good. So this would be 4, and then this would be 2, 1, and 3. That looks good to me. I want to kind of, like, we're going to do this in Final Fantasy, I think 3 you can do it, 4 I'm not so sure about, and 5 you can do it as well. So I want to make sure I don't get the colors between this one and 5 mixed up, because they're kind of similar. 5 is a little closer to the blue kind of purple, whereas this is more of a magenta, so. Well, that looks pretty good to me. Very nice, thank you. So we'll keep it like that. Wild Rose, Wild Arms. Think Wild Arms 3 did something like that with highlighted words? Yeah, yep, it did exactly a similar thing, yeah, because it'll highlight words in the little less than and greater than symbols. And you can highlight that and ask about it. It's possible that they got the idea from this game, so maybe we're looking at history here. So yeah, nice dark velvet color, exactly. Dark Souls, Nocturne, man, getting some gamer gains. You know, just a few. We can look at the bestiary, but we don't have anything in there right now because we haven't actually killed anything. You have to kill something, I think, in order to get it in your bestiary. Yeah, as you can see, it's at 0%, so those Black Knights didn't count here at all. So, there you go. By the way, in case anybody is a dirty cheater like I was when I was younger, you can actually win the opening battle, but if you do that, it just shoots you right back to the title screen because you're not supposed to win. So it doesn't soft lock you, but it just says, hey, go back to the title screen. blue kind of bothers you as you get older. Same with blue light from monitors. Yeah, I get that actually, because I've been told that there's like glasses for that or something to help with blue light, because it sort of bugs your eyes because it's higher on the frequency, whereas if you get into these more like pink and red colors, it's a little bit easier on the eyes because it's a little bit lower frequency. So, electromagnetic spectrum. Who don't know it? I didn't know it before this, so... we got a whole bunch of stuff that we can look at here. Items, magic, equipment status, formation is actually the main one that I'd like to look at first. So Final Fantasy II implements a front and a back row for the first time in the entire series. You may have actually seen that Maria was in the back row when we first did the first battle, because once Furion and Guy both fell, as well as Leon, they were all in the front row. When all of your members of your front row drop dead, your back row has to move up to the front row, because in this game, the back row can only be damaged by bows and magic, but they can only also damage enemies with bows and magic. So they're completely safe from physical attacks, unless those physical attacks are bows, or magical attacks, magic. But because of the fact that everybody in the front row was dead, Maria had to come up to the front row so that she wasn't just like... Because there are enemy groups in this game where they don't have bows or magic, so if that was the case and you just had a back row, you'd never lose, so they implemented that in there. That being said, I'm going to pull her to the front row because we've got kind of low HP, and I'm going to want to do something about that, so there you go. Alright, so now the customary thing that we always like to do when we play Final Fantasy II, if you know what you're doing, is get naked. This is not a joke. I am not joking. I want everyone to strip naked right now, except for you. You can keep your clothes on. Take the leather armor off of everybody, that's the main thing. And what we're going to do is we're going to redistribute things to everybody. The reason why I left Maria's clothes on is because they are light equipment. And to show you the difference in terms of light equipment versus heavy equipment, so take a look at Maria's evasion stat over there. So she's got 10 attack, 1 to 85% accuracy, 85... Okay, 10 attack, 85% accuracy on 1 attack, 1 defense, 10% evasion on 1 attack, 20% magic defense on 1 attack. So that 10% on 1 evasion there, watch what happens if we switch her over to leather armor here. It drops that evasion down. So now it doesn't drop it down by much in this particular case, but if you were to equip her with some heavier equipment than the leather armor, it would drop her evasion by quite a large amount. So like if we have... hang on. Actually, Maria, do take those off because I wanted to use those for demonstration purposes. If we have Guy equip leather armor, he has 0% evasion. He can't evade at all because he's wearing heavy armor. If we take off the heavy armor and we give him clothes instead... Okay, he still has 0% evasion, but... my point of the matter here is that being naked actually helps in some situations because it increases your evasion. See, now Guy has 5% evasion. That's due to his agility being low, but we'll talk about that in a minute. There's a lot going on right at the beginning, but the point of the matter is strip everybody down naked at first. We're going to redistribute our equipment, including the shield that we have, the buckler, and the axe, because I'm actually going to have somebody equip the axe. I think I had Furion scheduled to equip the axe, so... Hey Marie, how you doing? Welcome back. Yes, you've been waiting for this. It's been a long time coming, so... It's definitely one of those projects that I've been sitting on for a while and I've been meaning to do, and now we're finally getting around to it. Front row's creating a distance for the back row, yeah, exactly. Just in time for the strip show. Interesting strat, I don't know. You chose this timing, I guess. So bikini armor in anime is actually viable? This game says yes, because light armor in this game, I think, is better than heavy armor. One of the pitfalls that a lot of players get into with Final Fantasy II is that they equip all the heaviest armor expecting their defense to carry them through the game. That is not true. You cannot just use raw defense to carry you through the game because several enemies, especially like 90% of them in the final dungeon, completely ignore defense when they hit you. So as a result of that, you have to dodge damage rather than tank damage. Tanking damage is bad in this game, okay? Get your inner ninja from Final Fantasy XI on, because we're going to be dodging to tank in this one, not tanking to tank. But anyway, stats. Now we can start talking about stats. I already talked a little bit about evasion. It's the most important defense stat. Your defense is not as important as your evasion. Get your evasion high. It will serve you well in the long run. How do you do that? I'll talk about that in a minute. But we have attack, accuracy, defense, evasion, magic defense on this menu. The attack value is determined by the weapon that you have equipped. If you don't have any weapons equipped, your bare hands will suffice in terms of your attack stat. And your attack stat will go up the more your barehanded skill level goes up. So those skill levels in the middle are your skill levels with all the different types of weapons. Excuse me. The higher those are, the more your values will go up in terms of your attack power and all that stuff. So, at least for bare hands. We'll talk about the other ones. There's a lot going on at the beginning of this, and I think that's why some people are turned off about this game, is because you kind of have to know a lot right at the beginning. So I'm going to try to, explain it in a way that makes some sense. And spreads it out, actually. I should probably spread it out a little bit. So what can I talk about without making this too much of an essay right at the beginning? Well, we talked about evasion already, so let's just talk about evasion. The agility stat is tied to your evasion stat. The higher your agility is, the higher your evasion will be. You can also increase your evasion by equipping light armor, like I said with the clothes, or by equipping a shield. Shields will reduce your physical attack power, but if we look at Furion now, he has 18% evasion rather than the 10% that he had a minute ago. So shields will increase your evasion by a certain percentage for each one you have equipped. You can also equip 2 shields if you want, but then you won't be able to attack physically, so it's not really... It can be done. I don't usually do it myself, but there you go. As for the rest of this stuff, we will keep going. We'll talk about strength and all that other stuff in a little bit once we get stuff that actually is used by those stats. For now, we're not using those stats, so we don't have to worry about that. You going in the wrong directions and getting yourself stuck somewhere you can't get out of? I mean, we might wander a little bit, but I don't think we'll do that right at the beginning. That's kind of dangerous in the beginning. If you can dodge a wrench, you can dodge near lethal damage. That's true. Missed that movie. Haven't seen that movie in years. I'm trying to think which movie that is, honestly. When I think about it. Clueless person going, hey, I guess I'll die. It's how you played this when you were younger. Guy had max HP in the final boss from his constant beatings in the last dungeon. Yeah. Like I said, final dungeon, the enemies don't care about your defense. They just whack you upside the head and expect that to be enough. So, anyway, Minwu. Now that we've spent 20 minutes talking about this. Okay, so we should go to Fynn. That's fair. I don't think the princess will like it, but we should go to Fynn. What do you know about the Wild Rose? Yeah, well, she said to use it, so we might as well practice it. Okay, and what's that? Yeah, so if you die, you don't have the life spell just yet, but there are sanctuaries in town, just like in Final Fantasy I, and you can use the sanctuary to revive your party members. So just in case you need it, there you go. Oh, I'm not even worried about, I was going to say Paloom at this point. I'm worried squarely about Fynn, because we can't even reach Paloom until we get a canoe, so... Hello, sir. Yeah, that's what the princess said, too, but... Right. Well, okay, thanks for not having faith in us, man. Good lord. Yeah, so this is something I think they added in the Dawn of Souls version, if I remember correctly. If you go back to the sigil room where you woke up at first, there are a circle of sages, kind of like the circle of sages in Crescent Lake, I think it was, in Final Fantasy I. God, it's been a long time since I've played that. They're not quite a circle. This is a very bizarre-looking circle. But all of them will teach you the basics, quote-unquote, of how to play this game. The trouble that I have with the Circle of Sages is that they really only give you information that you would have figured out yourself by playing the game a little bit. They don't really give you information on, the stuff that you can't figure out without consulting some sort of a guide. That's why we're not going to talk to any of them, and I'm just going to tell you all of the important stuff instead. So don't worry about them, but you can chat with them, and if you want to just get a little bit of information about stuff that I'm going to talk about, you can, but... Oh. Your Majesty, I heard you were unwell. Ah, well, at least it didn't strike you in the knee. That would have been even worse. Then you would have predated that meme by, 23 years? Wow. Yes, sir, we'll do that. Well, we already did that, but, the room to the south there is Hilda's room, but since she's in the chair in the throne room, she wouldn't be in there, so... But yeah, so we're in the town of Altair at the moment. And apparently Prince Gordon is here as well. Well, it might have something to do with the fact that he ran like a coward out of the throne room before anybody could even get the chance to escape. So, just a thought. That'll do it to a person. Ah, Dodgeball. Okay, got it. The Dodgeball movie with Ben Stiller and Vince Vaughn. Yeah, I haven't seen that one forever either. The last time I saw that was when I was in ski club in high school. We were watching on the way home from one of the trips. Oh, man. Got stuck in the desert on your first run. Didn't realize that that isn't the right direction. Yeah, that's a tough way to go right at the beginning of the game, yeah. Anybody excited about the Dragon Quest III remake? I didn't even know it was getting a remake. Wow, interesting. Remember the name by heart and you barely care about movies. Used to be an acting monarch, but then I took an arrow to the back. Yes, guess his dodge wasn't up to snuff. And he got hit by a bow, too, which bows in this game have very low accuracy for the most part. So, yikes, Your Majesty. You are not practicing what you should be preaching. Not Pavel, huh? I figured you'd be going by a surname instead of just telling them your name. Then again, it's only your first name, so... So, how do you feel about the rebellion? Ah, okay, so you're more of a Robin Hood type. Got it. And his home was in Fynn as well, so that's... we can count on him to be helpful to us, specifically. So... Yeah, yet. Yeah, I hope that time is later rather than sooner. Ah, here's the prince. Well, we saw, but... Yeah, and I mean, it was more than that. You abandoned your kingdom before he fell in battle, but, you know. So how do you feel about the rebellion? Yes, sir. What makes you think that? You were in the same room with her when the place got ransacked. I'm not gonna laugh at you, man. That's just sad. One thing that I didn't really talk about too much in Final Fantasy I when we played it, I think, is the music that is in the game. You gotta remember when these tracks were created, hang on. They just had Nobuo Uematsu's tracks from the NES to go by, because the tracks that you hear in the PSP version are the same as the ones in the PS1 version. So they just had the chiptunes to go by. They didn't really have an idea of like how mellow or how dramatic the tracks had to be. However, I forget his name, but Uematsu's fellow bandmate from the Black Mages did the rearrangements for this game and for Final Fantasy I, alongside the ones from Final Fantasy III. What was his name? Tsuyoshi Sekito, that was his name. And then Kenichiro Fukui also helped with the Final Fantasy III soundtrack. And that's where you get all these, like this track, this nice mellow town track, gives a very comfy vibe to it. The Final Fantasy I town theme is still one of my favorite town themes in any video game. It just gives it this nice comfy vibe. And they did this based on just the chiptunes that Uematsu provided in the NES version. So I think they did a really good job with the soundtracks in these games. It's pretty solid all the way around. So here's the Sanctuary House. If you go inside, here's a statue. You can pray at the statue by interacting with it, and it'll bring any dead party members back to life. So there you go. Fair enough. Yeah, hey everyone, I'm a thief. It's on my card. Have a business card. Prototype Spoony Bard, yeah, pretty much. Thankfully, he doesn't play a harp in this version. He's a little bit more useful in battle than the Spoony Bard is, unless you get the Apollo harp, in which case Edward trashes every dragon he sees. This is the item shop. We don't really have much use for it for right now. There's the inn, and then we were in that other building before this. Here's the armor shop. This is where our first stop is going to be. So let's head up here, and we can sell the leather armor to this guy. And I guess we can sell the weapons to the weapons shop, or just sell them to this guy, because I don't really care. I'll sell them to the weapons shop. They'll want to have them. In a town like this, where it's got a pocket rebellion, like, we want them to do as little work as possible to get these arms to the people that need them, so let's sell them to the correct place, shall we? So, statue's your best friend. Yeah, it's a miracle your younger self managed to beat both this and the post-game. Yeah, I didn't beat this as a kid. I had to use cheats to beat this as a kid, so... But I learned. Anyway, we're gonna grab some clothes. Clothes only offer 1 defense, so they're not really as worth it, if I'm honest with you, but by comparison to just being naked. But they offer... What I want the clothes to basically do at the very beginning of the game is I actually want them to weigh me down a little bit, because I don't want to dodge too many attacks, because then my HP won't go up. So I'd actually like to wear the clothes. Excuse me. First of all, just so we're not running around naked, and second of all, to weigh me down a little bit so that we actually get hit by attacks. Because everybody in the party is going to get a buckler, so we're going to grab 2 more of these. We've already got 1, and then we will be good to go. So let's put some clothes on. Good lord, Firion, put some pants on. Don't be streaking around the rebel hideouts like this. Have some common decency, friends. So yeah, there you go. I do not blame your kid's self. This game is brutal compared to 1, despite being attached to 1 in the GBA remake. Yeah, and like I said, I just think that the game doesn't really explain itself very well, and for kids, that's tough, because then it's like, okay, but what do I do? You know? So... Alright, so here's what I'd like to know now. I'm going to leave this up to everybody in the chat. I mean, Firion was pretty good with the knives in the opening, and I know who I'd like to... Basically, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to have 1 person equipped with an axe in the party, 1 person equipped with knives, and 1 person using their bare hands. Who's going to do what here? What are we feeling? What do we feel like everybody wants to do? If you based on, like, just looking at the characters, who should do what? I mean, I'm down to give Maria the axe if everybody wants to gimp me. I'm okay with that. It's fine, but, like... What are we feeling? Who gets what? And I'll tell you what I'm going to do with each character once we decide which weapon that they're going to have. By the way, if you're playing the Pixel Remaster, I believe there's a penalty in that one, just like the regular NES version of the game, where if you equip certain types of weapons, your magic suffers from it. So... in the Pixel Remaster, you have to be a little bit more careful what weapons you equip with whom, but in the PSP and Dawn of Souls versions, there's a little more variety in the builds because you can equip whatever weapon you want, so... There you go. 1 is tough but straightforward. This one you heard was nonsensical. It just has a weird progression system, that's all. Leaves Finn. Okay, where do I go? Goes west and gets annihilated. Okay, what about south? Fights and gets eaten by a sandworm. Dude, where the fuck can I go? Yeah, it's a little iffy, but we'll make it work. So, any suggestions? I mean, I'll go with what I was thinking I was going to go with. If it helps anybody, I can show you the stats for everybody, but I don't think those will make a lot of sense just yet. So, Maria starts with lower strength and stamina, but higher intelligence and agility, whereas Guy starts with higher strength and stamina, but lower agility. His intelligence is the same, though, as Firion's, so... what did those do? Well, I'll talk about them in a moment. I'm going to cut off any potential suggestions. Guys should use axes and then convert to lances? Ugh. I don't know about that one. I use the same weapon all the way through the game. I don't know about the convert to lances thing. That sounds like a good way to gimp myself at the end of the game. I mean, I guess that's, you know, part of the fun, but... Alright, so... how do I want to do this? Let me think. See, here's what I usually do, so I'll just give you the idea about what I usually do. Usually Firion... So what you want to do with Final Fantasy II is you want to split up everybody's jobs. You don't want them all doing the same things, because if they're doing multiple things at once, they're not going to be good at any of it. They're going to be a jack of all trades, but a master of none. So split it up so that one person is your hardline physical attacking melee unit, one person is your white mage, and one person is your black mage. So, there you go. I did ask for a suggestion, though. That's true. That is true. I did ask for that. JK, you do what you want to do. But basically, yeah, so that's the gist of it, is you want to have one person be your melee unit, one person be your white mage, one person be your black mage. The way that usually works for me is Firion's usually my white mage, Maria is usually my black mage, and then Guy is my melee unit. But I'm kind of feeling like I want to switch that up a little bit. I might switch Firion and Guy up so that they're... You know, I'm just going to go with what I have in my notes, actually, because I know what I have in my notes. Firion, here, grab the axe. Take the axe. You'll be our melee unit. Maria, I'm going to get you a different weapon, yeah, because you're going to be our black mage just like usual, and Guy, you're going to be our white mage. So, there you go. So, Firion will be our melee unit. And now Guy is the most well-equipped as the melee unit to start with. That's why he starts with the axe, because if you look at his status, he has the highest strength out of anybody in the party. Now what strength does is it actually increases the accuracy of your physical attacks. So right now, because his strength is so high, he actually has a really high chance to hit any barehanded attacks that he does. By comparison, you'll look at Firion, he has 65% accuracy with the axe. If we take the axe off, he has higher accuracy, 90%. So, because his strength is lower and the axe has a low accuracy bonus, his accuracy is a little bit lower. Now, if we equip that to Maria, it would be even worse. So, like, Maria right now has 85% accuracy, but her strength is only a 5. So if she gets the axe, yeah, now she only has a 60% chance to hit, which actually isn't as bad as I thought it was going to be, and she still has 20% evasion. Okay, Maria, change of plans. You're going to get the axe. All right, Maria is going to be our melee unit. This is going to be terrible, but it's going to work out, I promise. She'll still probably have the lowest amount of HP by the end game, but it'll be fine, I promise. Maria was your backliner with all forms of magic, including the Forbidden One and bows. She had Cure 11 going to the final dungeon. She had max level by the final boss. Yeah, I could see it, honestly, especially if it was like... if you were playing with more defense than evasion in mind. Yeah, I could definitely see that being the case. An old man that knows about the rebellion, maybe. Yeah, so Tobul is the rebel's blacksmith, actually, so keep that in mind. He'll be useful later. As for the weapons, let's get rid of the broadsword. We will be using one of each type of weapon in the game, but I'm going to divvy that up based on particular characters and what I think they would do best with. So we're going to use axes, knives, and bare hands for these three for now. Speaking of which, let's grab a knife. There's a bunch of different weapons available. By the time you get to Gatria, you'll be able to get all 6 of the non-bare hands weapon. So at least the starting version of them. So yeah, I wouldn't worry too much about that. So Firion, you're going to get the knife. And Maria's going to get the axe. Guy, you'll be barehanded. So these are going to be our equipment loads for everybody for a little while, just these. And as you may have noticed, I actually take an attack penalty for equipping the knife, because I have less physical attack with the knife than with my bare hands for right now. But we'll worry about that later. It's fine. So you say that now, but... Look, the last dungeon was hell and a half. Guy and Firion were dual wielding. Both had actual heavy armor, though. Sucks to be you. Yeah, heavy armor in the final dungeon is hard mode. Definitely hard mode. You're making it a lot harder on yourself than you should. So... wonder what's been bugging him. Maybe he just hasn't had good work lately. Maybe we should try to find him some work, getting him smithing some weapons. Alright, and now we can go to the magic shop, and if we are lucky, we don't quite have enough to buy 2 tomes and a cure, but that's okay. We'll be able to do that shortly anyway, so it's fine. Alright, so we're going to buy a blizzard tome, and we're going to buy a cure tome. I'd like to buy a thunder tome as well. I would wait to buy a fire tome, because we'll actually get one for free in a little while before we need it, so... I would buy Blizzard and Thunder and then hold off on Fire. But we don't quite have enough gil to buy the tomes, and yeah, I was going to say this potion won't sell for enough of it to make a difference, so we'll figure that part out later. Anyway, so since Firion got the knife, we're going to make him our white mage, so we'll just give him the cure spell. There we go. And since Guy is barehanded, we will make him our black mage, and we'll give him the Blizzard tome. Despite the fact that Guy has 10 intelligence, so he's tied with Firion in terms of his intelligence, he's actually proven through cutscenes in this game to be the smartest character in the party, as we'll see later. So it feels just appropriate for him to be the one to learn all the black magic spells, at least in my eyes. So there we go. So that's our plan. So Firion's going to be our white mage. He'll use knives as his main type of weapon alongside a shield. Maria will be our melee unit. She'll use an axe, and we'll get her strength up as we go. And hopefully her stamina as well, because stamina is tied to your HP growth. For every time you get an HP gain in this game, it's however much HP you get is based on your stamina. So she'll get, when she gets an HP gain, she'll get 5 HP because she has 5 stamina. Same with the magic stat. You will get 5 magic for every MP gain because you have 5 magic. In Guy's case, he'll get 15 HP because he has 15 stamina. So you can see how that would work out a little bit better for certain people than others to be the melee unit, but that's okay. We've already taught everybody everything, and I didn't save before doing that, so we'll roll with it. Alright, we're going to leave this way. And we're out on the world map. I actually really dig the world map theme in this game. It's actually the main theme of this entire game, and it's got this, like... It's kind of a bizarre world map theme. Like, if you think about Final Fantasy I's, it was very over-the-top, like you're on an adventure. This one, it's kind of, like, somber almost, and mysterious, which I guess makes sense because, like, you don't know what's going to be out here, what might be lurking around the next corner to kill you, especially if you go directly south and end up in the Peninsula of Power right away. I don't know if I mentioned that in Final Fantasy I's stream, it's been a while, but there's a place near Provoca, which is the town you got the pirate ship at, It's called the Peninsula of Power. It's to the northeast of the town. If you go there early on in the game, you can fight some enemies that you normally wouldn't fight until you're going after the Wind Crystal, which is like 70% of the way through the game. So those enemies obviously are very tough, and you'll probably get your ass kicked. Final Fantasy II decides it's a great idea to put it directly south of the starting town. If I walk any further south than this, I'll start fighting enemies from Mysidia, which is like 60% of the way through this game. So don't walk to the end of Florida here. It's not going to work out for you. So we want to go north. That's where Gatria is to the north. Well, slightly north by northwest. So this is a game that you appreciate more as you get older and better at games. There are so many obscure mechanics that actually mesh in interesting ways. Speaking of mechanics, let's talk about them, shall we? So, if you were here for my Final Fantasy Legend 2 playthrough, to put this as simply as I possibly can, it's exactly like that game. The Saga games share some DNA with Final Fantasy 2 because you are what you use in Final Fantasy 2. In Final Fantasy 1, you are what your class is, so you are what you are. If you're a warrior, you're going to have high strength and low intelligence. In Final Fantasy 2, you, as the player, determine what you want the characters to be good at. So if you attack physically, you have a chance of increasing your strength and your weapon levels. If you attack with magic, you have a higher chance of increasing the magic stat that's associated with that magic and your actual MP and the level of that spell. So like, I'm going to attack physically against this goblin, and we defeated him right away because he only has 6 HP, but that's okay. So I attacked physically with Firion there. Ooh, 37 gil right off the jump. That's nice. So because we attacked physically, if we go to the status menu, you'll see that Firion has gained some weapon experience. The skill level for knives and shields has gone up. He only needs to attack one more time physically, and he'll get to level 2 in knives and shields. If you need a more modern example to give you an idea of how this whole system works, think of the Elder Scrolls V Skyrim, because in that game you also are what you do. As you use the different types of skills in Skyrim, you gain stats in those skills. You don't gain stats in one-handed weapons in Skyrim if you're using a two-handed weapon, for example. You only get stats in the appropriate places for what you're using. So, if you want the characters to be good at weapons, have them use weapons. If you want them to be good at spells, use spells. If you want them to be good at white magic, use white magic. It'll increase your spirit stat, which is associated with white magic. If you want them to be good at black magic, have them use black magic spells. It'll increase their intelligence, which is associated with black magic, and it'll increase the level of those spells. So when you see the bar next to the spell or next to the skill level, anything like that, those bars will fill up as you use them, and they'll gain levels as you go. The maximum level that you can get in a skill or a spell is 16, but usually you'll never get to 16. Like, you may get to 16 in very rare cases, like with the Cure spell, if you're using it a lot, but most of the time you're probably going to max out by the end of the game if you're really focusing on that one specific thing at about level 10. So I wouldn't expect to go much higher than that if I were you. This is why I wanted to wear the clothes, by the way, is because I actually wanted to get weighed down enough to get hit physically by these guys, because it'll give us a chance to gain HP. So because Firion used his knife enough to fill up that bar for his skill level, he actually gained a skill level in knives and shields. Now, if you'll notice, his evasion is higher than it was previously. Because his shield skill level went up, he gains more evasion from his shield than he did previously. Same with his accuracy. Now he has 2 chances to hit with that knife, and each hit has an 85% chance to hit. That's what that 2-85% means. You have 2 attacks, so that's the left number, is the number of attacks you can hit with. Each attack has an 85% chance to hit. So that tells you how evasion and magic defense work as well. You have 1 chance to dodge with a 20% rate, and 1 chance to dodge magic with a 22% rate. It's the same for everybody else. So those left numbers are the number of times you can attack or defend. The percentages are how often you can attack or defend with that. Okay, so hopefully that makes a little bit of sense. If you need me to slow down and explain something another way, by the way, just let me know and I will do that, because there's plenty of ways to get confused in this game, trust me. So, I actually missed the skill levels in this game, wish it had come back. Well, it did in the Saga series. You could play the Final Fantasy Legend games, you could play Romancing Saga. I think the skill levels are still in Romancing Saga, so I would recommend switching over to the old Saga games and seeing how you feel about those, because they had skill system as this game did. So, but I get what you're saying. Wish they came back in a mainline game. That would make more sense. So, all right. So Guy has less than maximum HP, so that gives Firion an excuse to actually use his Cure spell. So I'm going to have him use it while Maria and Guy catch up to level 2 on their physical attacks. So. As you can see, Cure heals for a pretty substantial amount of HP. That's because I single targeted it. You can single target or multi-target your spells in this game, and if you multi-target a spell, it actually reduces its effectiveness. So like if I was to heal everyone with that Cure spell, it would probably only heal for about 10 to 15 HP, but because I single targeted it, it actually healed for a little bit more. So there you go. So Maria actually got some HP out of that because she got hit. And because Maria has lower HP than most of the people in your party at the moment, she'll probably take a little bit more of a beating, at least for right now. I would not recommend sticking her exclusively in the front row just yet, although we'll probably do that eventually. So, but yeah, we're almost to Gatria now, so that wasn't so bad, at least so far. All right, let's have you cure Maria. We'll have Maria do this. Now, she actually needs to hit enemies twice with her axe at this point in order for her to gain an axe skill level. So because of the fact that there are only 2 goblins, she's probably not going to get an axe skill level out of this fight unless for some reason this blizzard doesn't kill this goblin, which it definitely will. Yeah, not even a question. So Firion didn't get a chance to cast there, but Guy got an intelligence boost because he was using black magic. So you see how it kind of works? The spells that you use will determine which stat you'll get a chance to gain. You don't always gain a stat in those, but you'll give yourself a chance just by using those types of things. So if you use strength, you'll gain strength if you're using something that strength is associated with, like weapon attacks. You'll gain HP if you get hit. You'll gain intelligence if you're using black magic spells, and so on and so on and so forth. So, as I said though, the agility stat is tied directly to your evasion. You won't get a lot of agility and evasion early on, but it snowballs as you go across the game, and that's why shield levels are so important, because your shield levels give you an increased chance of evading attacks, and that process of actually evading an attack is what gives you the chance to increase your agility. Unless you're avoiding attacks, you're not going to get more agility, and therefore you're not going to be avoiding more attacks. So you want to start that early and just keep going with it all the way through the game so it snowballs for everybody. So that's why we're doing what we're doing here with the shield levels. So there you go. As far as the spells, there's how much using 1 Blizzard has gotten and 1 Cure. So it's pretty quick to start with, especially in this version of the game. Like in the old NES and PS1 versions of the game, it took a lot more effort to get your spell levels up. But in this version of the game, pretty much from the GBA version onward, it was a lot easier to get your skill levels up, because they said, yeah, this is a bit of a grind. Most people aren't getting above weapon level 7 by the end of the game, so maybe we should make it a little easier. So if you're playing those versions of the game, you're probably only going to get to about level 6 or 7 with any given thing if you're really working on it quite a bit. But in this version, yeah, no, level 10 is pretty attainable. So. All right, so we can rest at the inn. Now, the way that the inn works in this game is that the amount of HP and MP that you have lost determines the price of the inn. So one of the things you can do is you can actually cure your HP before you go to the inn, and that reduces your price. So like, she only has this cost 3 gil because we were only missing 3 MP. If I was to have gone in here with 11 HP missing along with 2 MP, it would have cost like 5 or 6 gil. Not a huge savings for right now, but those little bits add up, especially in the early game where money is a little bit tight, so. Fuck yeah, your new keyboard's here, and no more crappy iBuyPower substitute you were using. Oh, nice. Congrats, hopefully the new keyboard works out for you. So that's kind of, I guess, the gist of a lot of the ways that I'm going to play Final Fantasy II in terms of, like, the stats and all that stuff. I guess I'm a little more glad that I spread it out, because I could have given you, like, a whole dissertation right at the beginning, but how much of that would have actually stuck, you know what I mean? So, yeah, I guess we've got our work cut out for us, don't we? So we'll have to worry about that later. Oh, okay. Well, maybe he's in with the rebels and we can go ask him about that. Here's the sanctuary, so if you need to revive anybody, you can do that. Yeah, we heard about that while we were teetering on the edge of consciousness. Hopefully they don't complete it anytime soon. No upgrades in the armor shop at Gatria, unfortunately. If you wanted to get some extra copies of certain weapons, though, like I think there was a knife, a staff, a javelin, and a broadsword in Altair, if I remember correctly. And in this shop, you can actually purchase an axe and a bow in addition to a javelin and a broadsword. So that gives you access to all the different weapon types from these two shops. You have unarmed, which is just use your fists, take all your weapons off. Knives are available. Knives and stabs are available in Altair. Axes and bows are available here. Shields are available from the armor shop, and then spears and swords are available from both. Now, the one thing I would like to say about bows specifically, because I took it off of Maria before we could really get the chance to do it, but when you use a bow, you cannot use a shield. So if you're going to equip a bow on somebody, it's going to be used in both hands. So make sure that you're planning on keeping that character in the back row, because if they don't have a shield, they're not going to gain agility and evasion, and they're not going to be able to avoid attacks, so they'll be getting wailed on by the enemies. So if you're going to equip them with a bow, take advantage of that back row. Use that back row. That's what it's for, so just keep that in mind. Wait, that's right, why the in price kept fluctuating? Damn, you were not observant when you were younger. Yeah, that's why, because I believe it's 1 gil for every 4 HP you're missing, and 1 gil for every 1 MP you're missing. So that's why it fluctuates, is because of the fact that you can influence it in that way. So, yeah, nice, there you go. Makes it a little easier to use the in. It's not like a flat rate, which helps, because as you can see, we've only got 250 gil to our name at this point, so not a whole lot of gil to be working with, but we'll make it work. There's ways to make more money later that I'm not really too worried about, so. Alright, so Finn, as the little kid in Gatria was saying, is actually right over there. We can kind of very, very vaguely see the gates to the town across the lake. In order to get there, though, we're going to have to go all the way around the lake. And I would highly, highly recommend that you stay pretty close to the lake itself, because the enemies around here, if you stray too far from the lake, will probably kick your ass. So don't stray too far from the lake. You will hurt yourself. It's not so good. All right, so one of the reasons, and this is genuinely, like, this was a deciding factor for me in terms of which version of this game I was going to play. The PSP version of this game, as far as I'm aware, maybe the Pixel Remaster has this, but I'm not sure, is the only version of this game with a defend command. In other versions of this game, you can't defend. You would just have to do some BS in order to waste a turn. In this version of the game, you can actually just waste a turn by defending. It does nothing, so your party member will effectively not have an increase of any stats. However, in this case, Firion actually benefits from that because he's taken damage, so now his HP and stamina have a chance to increase, but those are the only things that have a chance to increase, so he will focus exclusively on those without interference from Spirit or anything else. So that's why we're going to have him just kind of stand pat and then let whomever hit this thing until it dies. In this case, Guy got the kill. That's fine. Maria has lower accuracy, so it's not really a big shock. The enemies early in the game also might run away like that Leg Eater did. So just in case they do run away, that's why. They have an innate chance to flee. They have a potential to flee at the beginning. Ooh, this is a nice battle, actually. So first of all, Maria will get some extra axe experience out of this, but second of all, Firion can cure himself, so that's good. You won't have a chance to gain HP if you didn't lose the HP in this specific battle. So the fact that he was at 19 HP there, Firion lost that in a different battle, so he would not have a chance to gain HP from this battle. The way that you gain HP is by losing HP in that specific battle. So because Maria's lost 9 HP in this battle, she has a chance to gain actual HP and stamina from this battle. So there you go. And yeah, Guy, why don't you just keep casting Blizzard? It's all good. Maria will get some weapon experience, Guy will get some good Blizzard experience, and we'll be good to go. I want to watch Guy's Blizzard casting, though, because 101 gil and an int boost, I'll take it. Nice. Very nice. Know what sounds like, Hal? Minimum step counts in any Final Fantasy that has step counters. Yeah, we've taken a lot of steps already. We're definitely not a minimum step count. Did 1 and 2 have defend? I don't think Dawn of Souls did, actually, because I'm pretty sure you can't, like, click to the left or right to use defend, and in Dawn of Souls you only had attack, magic, items, and flee, so there you go. Hence Guy having 9,999 in the final boss and taking over 1,000 whenever he got hit by them. Yeah, that sounds about right, honestly. It does. So, alright, let's check our magic. Okay, so Firion's almost got Cure level 2, that's good. Guy only needs to cast Blizzard one more time and he'll be at level 2. Excuse me. We didn't talk about that. The MP cost of your spell is based on its level. So Cure is at level 1, so it only costs 1 MP. When it gets to level 2, it will cost Firion 2 MP to actually use that spell. So it's the same with Blizzard. When Guy uses Blizzard one more time, it'll get to level 2, and it'll cost him 2 MP to use that spell. Why do you want that, though? Like, I mean, obviously it gives you an increase in power on your spell, but the more that your MP you lose in a fight, the higher your chance of gaining an MP boost from the fact that you lost, well, MP. So basically, by having our spells be at level 2, it'll give Guy a chance to actually get more MP, and it'll give him a chance to get more magic as well. Excuse me. And same thing with Firion when he gets Cure to level 2. It'll give him a chance to get MP and magic. So alongside Spirit or Intelligence, depending on what is being used. So all right, I'm gonna let Maria kick these guys' butts now because she needs the weapon experience. So we'll just let her do that. Right. 1. Yeah. All right. You're doing real great over there, Mr. Leg Eater. Alright, so Firion got an HP increase there. Maria got Axe, Shield, and Strength. Guy got some Blizzard level there as well. Very nice. So Maria's at level 3 now with her Axe and her Shield. And her accuracy is going up slowly. But you'll notice that it's at 61% now. The reason why that's at 61% rather than 60% is because her Strength went up. Her Strength stat is tied to her accuracy bonus for the weapon. So she's getting an additional 6% accuracy on her weapon because her Strength is higher. That's why you generally don't want her to be your melee character, because her accuracy is going to be lower for a good chunk of the game as a result of it. But there's a trade-off there. She starts with high agility, so she'll have higher evasion than most of your other melee units will, especially Guy. Like, he'll have low evasion for a while because agility starts at 5. It's going to be tough for him to raise that, but we'll get it there. It's fine. So damn tempted to get the Pixel Remaster of this game now, thank you. I need to beat 6 again, though. If I'm honest, the Pixel Remaster of this game, I'm not a big fan of it. Like, the music just kind of forgets that percussion exists in a lot of cases, in my opinion, and they cut out the bonus contents. Like, you don't get to play Soul of Rebirth, you don't get to play the Arcane Labyrinth. I mean, if you don't want to play those, that's fine, but, like, I'd just go with the PSP version if you're okay with emulating it, obviously. If you're not okay with emulating it, then, I mean, you could do worse than Pixel Remaster. It's the only version you can play, but, well, you can play other ones if you have them, but, you know, so. Alright, 2 goblins. I guess I'll just do this to give a chance for strength and a chance for intelligence. Yeah, Maria kicked their asses with that axe. It just seems so bizarre. Alright, so Firion will get a Cure level up from this. Guy might have a chance at gaining some MP from using this Blizzard spell, but he can only use 2 more before the end of this, so we're going to have to worry about that in a little bit. And no intelligence boost or MP, but that's okay. Alright, we're in Fynn. We made it. But it was like they said. Yeah. So, stealth mission. Let's get our Metal Gear on, shall we? It's actually really simple, though. Just don't talk to the soldiers. You can stand directly next to them and be perfectly fine. Just don't talk to them, because if you do talk to them, you'll have to fight a captain. And captains, they hurt at this point in the game. So don't fight a captain. Just fight these guys instead. So that's what we're going to do. All right, so keep using that, Firion, and then you just do this, and I'll burn through all of my MP now. The only enemies we'll be fighting between here and Altair from here on is just, oh, okay, bye. Is just Leg Eaters, Hornets, and Goblins, so I'm not really worried about it. If we run out of MP, I'll just use physical attacks, you know? So. But while we're here, let's explore the town, shall we? This is Paul's house. Maybe he left an elixir or something in one of these cabinets for me. Does he have a clock? That's the best place to find an elixir. He doesn't have a grandfather clock. What the hell, Paul? Maybe in the teapot? Yeah, no. There's no hidden items, as far as I'm aware, to be found in random spots in people's houses in this game. I think that wasn't a thing until Final Fantasy III, so I wouldn't worry too much about it. Well, that house is blocked off. Is that the sanctuary? Yeah, that's why. Okay. Armor shop? Hey, if they left any... Oh. Well, they did leave some armor here, but unfortunately we can't grab it at this point. And that's a shame, because the armor at these shops is actually pretty damn good later in the... Oh my god, later in the game, so... Wait, no Soul of Rebirth? Deal breaker, I sleep. Yeah, no Soul of Rebirth and Pixel Remaster as far as I'm aware, so... Soul Rebirth is a bonus quest and campaign introduced in the Dawn of Souls version of Final Fantasy II and included in all subsequent versions of the game except for the Pixel Remaster. What the fuck, Square Enix? Yeah, I don't get that decision either. I don't know why they would do that, but there it is. So, okay, so you remember how I was talking about front row and back row? That exists for enemies as well. So if we take a look here, if I want Maria to attack these enemies, she's using an axe, remember. So she has a weapon that only works in the front row. If I try to attack the Hornets, I can't. I can only go as far back as the enemy's quote-unquote front row. Those Hornets are completely blocked off from being hit by melee attacks right now. They can be hit by magic, but they can only be hit by bows in terms of melee attacks. However, because they don't have bows or magic themselves, they cannot hit me until I clear out their front row. So basically what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take out these two leg eaters in the middle row. They're in the front row. I say middle row just because they're behind the front row. You know what I mean? So I'm going to take these guys out, and what that does is it actually minimizes the amount of enemies that can hit you. For right now, the only enemy that can hit me on the battlefield is this leg eater, in the front row, because he's the only one with a melee attack that's available right now. So. And once we take care of him, as you can see, no enemies actually hit me because the Hornets cannot hit me until the following round. So there you go. It's one of those little tricks that you can do to minimize the amount of damage you take. So. Oh yeah, this is the game that has the potential to have 6 enemies at once. 8, actually. 8 is the maximum that you can have in a battle. Now you might be wondering, hey, so you didn't take any damage in that battle, why did you get an HP increase? In the Dawn of Souls and PSP versions, I think in this Pixel Remaster as well, every 12 battles you'll gain an HP boost. It's just a way to pad out your stats a little bit that they decided to do in order to make the game easier. It's not really that necessary, but I guess in our case it is a little necessary because of the fact that if I'm going to be evading a lot of attacks, I'm not going to be gaining a lot of HP otherwise. So we would probably need those boosts in order to have, 4-digit HP by the end of the game. Like, if I played the PS1 version of this, we would not have 1,000 HP on any of our characters by the end of the game because of the way that evasion works in this game, so... Firion, take the knives on the table. They'll be more useful than one you have. Make the game easier. I am mashing X to doubt. Oh, no, it does. It makes it a little easier. I mean, it gives you a little bit of extra HP to pad out your stats, so... And unfortunately, no magic available here either. Again, that's a shame because the magic that's available in Finn is actually pretty useful, but by the time you have access to it, it's kind of outlived its usefulness, unfortunately. So, that's a shame, but, I mean, it is what it is, So. Alright, Guy, burn through those last 2 MP, and then we'll just start attacking physically. It's, quote, making the game easier. Someone, probably. Question markable. I mean, if you're just tanking damage, it won't make the game easier, because, obviously, if you're just tanking damage, then you're gonna have a few problems, but, But you'll notice that we're starting to dodge attacks now. That's because the enemies can only hit us once, and we're rolling favorably with our evasions, so that's kind of helpful, actually. Alright, so, Firion, you won't gain a knife level from this, but as long as Maria hits one of them, that's the important part. And that takes care of that. So I think at this point we're pretty much down to our physical attacks, although Firion got a magic boost out of that battle, so that's kind of nice. And Maria's all the way at Axe level 4 right now, which is very nice for her, because she's slowly and surely gaining more and more evasion. And again, the more evasion you get, the more agility you'll get, and they snowball eventually. So you do want to kind of raise those as quickly as possible, so that way she can gain more and more evasion as we go. So, anyway, which way do we go? Where's this pub? Well, we can see it from over here, actually. Yeah, see, there's the pub, but it's outside the city walls. I'll just tell you that so we don't have to walk a little further. In order to get there, you have to go outside the city walls. So let's go around this fence and then follow the fence line all the way to the end, and then we'll be good to go. Cure 2 gives almost 200 on a single target and about 30 when using party-wide. AoE Cure is a scam. AoE anything? Here's my pro tip to all of you. AoE anything in Final Fantasy II is a scam. You should only use it if you're using specific types of spells that only need to hit once in order to proc. Otherwise, just single target. It's so much better. So that's my pro tip to all of you. One of them, anyway. But yeah, so the captains are also in here. If you talk to any of the soldiers in here, they'll all attack you as well, so don't talk to them. This, however, is the bartender, so he's not going to attack me. I hope. Because I'm a little nervous to say this in a town full of the enemy's units, but... Sir, what do you know about the rebellion? Don't say it too loud. They're gonna hear us. Ah, a secret passage. I mean, I do have a cure spell, and I think I have enough MP to cast it, so let's go find out. I love how he just leaves. Like, he just effectively left town. So that means all these Imperials are just gonna sit here with no grog for the rest of their time here. Like, you think they'd actually let him leave? Because something tells me the answer to that question is no. Alright, what do we got in here? Raid this room before we go talk to the gentleman who is sleeping calmly in the bed there. Get some potions just in case we don't have a cure spell. And there we go. You know, he looks a little familiar. Maybe he knows about the rebels. Yes, sir. Oh, sorry, Your Majesty. I didn't hardly recognize you in that bed. Yeah, so this is Gordon's brother. His older brother. He was the one that was the bait in the opening cutscene when Hilda escaped. But apparently he's not long for this world. That's unfortunate. I mean, I can cure you if it would help. Anything, my liege. Name it. Well, he's not my liege, but Your Majesty. Okay. Well, he could probably do with a little of that, yeah. Ah, okay. So there was betrayal from within the ranks of our units, and that's why the Imperials were able to ambush us so easily. Got it. I'll keep that in mind. I mean, the soldiers are probably drunk. They probably weren't even paying attention to what you were talking about. Yeah, probably true, honestly. They're just wondering when their next grog is coming out. Oh, okay, I can tell her that. Oh. Yeah, honestly, fair enough. I've always liked this line. Like, it just feels like this is exactly the kind of line you would stick in a situation like this. Like, it feels like this line is translated well. It gives me the same vibes as, like, most of Final Fantasy XII's English script, if that makes any sense. If not, don't worry about it. We'll play 12 eventually, so that then you can understand what I'm talking about. But there you go. Oh, no luck on Leon again, huh? Oh, that's unfortunate. Well, he's got to be around here somewhere. I mean, it's not like they took him back to the Empire's home base. Okay, sure. Thanks, I'll take it. Your Majesty, I don't think that's such a good idea. You really shouldn't fall asleep when you're dying. Yeah, so Scott dies. Remember how in Final Fantasy 1 basically nobody died? They changed their tune real quick in this one. There is a lot of death in this war, and Scott is the first of many who just drops dead. So, yeah, death is prevalent in Final Fantasy 2, so if you weren't prepared for that, I apologize, but people die. It's war. It's gonna happen. So, ooh, I thought that guy was blocking the door for a second. You're like, uh-oh, looks like we're going through, but that's not true. Alright, but we got a ring from Scott. And if I wasn't being ambushed by these leg eaters, I could show you what it does. Yeah, get the hell out of here. I'm trying to show a game mechanic. Like, leave me alone. Yeah, he died in a cutscene even. Yeah, exactly. So they're increasing the fidelity a little bit there. Yeah, hence why they attack you when you talk to them. Yeah, because they're just drunk. They just flail their arms around. Pretty good, though. They can still hit me pretty good if they're flailing their arms around. All right, so I think it's B in select. Which one is select? Or not B in select. B in... Hang on. That's the bestiary, so we don't want that. Basically, if you press the correct button here, that's select. Okay, I wasn't sure which one I keybound as select. It's L3. If you press the B button, or in this case the circle button in L3, you can bring up a world map that you can take a look at. You can enlarge the map and then move all over the place with the scroll, with the analog stick on the PSP, and this will show you where the whole map is. So we're here, where the white cursor is. The yellow cursors indicate where there are some different types of ferries. So there's what they mean by a ferry is a ship. The other one is another ship, but it's a different kind of ship. So the one that's up in the northeastern-ish section of the map. And, well, you can't scroll on this version of the map, but if you enlarge it, you can take a look at where you've been. This is Altair, Gatria, and then you can go all the way down here to get to Mysidia. Here's the Peninsula of Power. You can head this way to find the desert that Marie was talking about. This is Kashuan. Bafsk is up here, the Island of Dist, the Snow Cavern. Remember this place for later. We'll have to worry about that eventually, but not right now. And these are all places that we'll eventually visit, but we, first, before we do anything else, we need to go back to Altair so we can show the ring to Princess Hilda and let her know that Scott is no longer here. By the way, going north from here too far is going to get you absolutely massacred, so don't do that. And I can show you why, actually, now that we have the map. The occasional airship makes this game feel way more alive, yeah. It's kind of nice because it shows you that, like, you've probably seen it a couple of times while I've been talking. Like, there's an airship that just flies overhead occasionally, and that's because the airship, which is that it over there? I think that's actually what so the ferry is this yellow cursor, but the other one is the airship, if I remember correctly. Oh no, that's a different airship. Normally the airship is over here in Poft, yeah, so basically you'll see it occasionally flying all over the place, and the process of it flying all over the place means that the person who owns it is actually using it to ferry people around the world. It's kind of nice. It gives, like Marie said, it gives the game a little bit more of an alive feeling, which is pretty good. As for why you don't want to go north, it'll give you, if you go too far up in the mountains here, it'll give you the enemy groups that appear starting in this section of the woods, which are stronger than the enemies that you would normally fight at this point in the game. So basically, if you leave the forest up here, you'll end up fighting enemies that you'd normally be fighting when you go up this way before you get to the desert. So yeah, don't do that. You will hurt yourself. They will kill you. It's not very good. So hug that lake. It's real important. It keeps you alive. It's the same thing if you go west or south, by the way. You'll run into enemies that you're not supposed to fight right now, and they will massacre you. So don't do that. Now, Maria, you got 4 chances to hit. You gotta hit them at some point here. This is what I get for giving her an axe, but that's okay. At least they can't hit me, you know? Now, I wouldn't worry too much about Firion and Guy's weapon levels. We will get them up a little bit higher later. I'm more worried about Maria's right now because that's going to be her sole form of attack power over the course of the rest of the game. Well, you're getting those magic boosts there, Firion, but you're not really getting a whole lot of MP. I'll have to work on that. Oh well. Alright, just slam-a-jam them. Ooh, nice crit, Maria. That's better. It's the same as Final Fantasy 1, by the way. If you see the screen flash white, you're getting a crit, and you'll deal more damage. So that's good. Alright, let's rest in Gatria, and then we'll head for Altair, so that way we can keep working on our potential MP. I probably won't need to work on Firion's MP for a little bit, though, because he doesn't have any spells that I actually want to just use. You can just use Cure, even if you're at full HP. You can just cure people in order to attempt to raise Spirit, but I usually prefer to not do that, because then your Cure spell gets really, really high leveled and costs a lot of MP, so I try to only use it if I actually need to use it, you know? And I try not to use it outside of battle as much as possible, because then you're wasting a potential Spirit boost, you know? So if you use it outside of battle, you don't have a chance to gain Spirit. But if you use it in battle, you have a chance to gain the Spirit stat from that. So I try to use it in battle as much as possible. Man, 2 intelligence already for Guy. That's not bad at all. Firion, you got to catch up on the Spirit, man. Guy is getting very quickly ahead of you in the magic department here. I mean, you've gotten magic boosts, so I guess there's that. He hasn't gotten those, but... yeah, no, we gotta get that going. Okay, so one of you can get a higher weapon level from this, but yeah, you know, we'll just have Firion do this, and we'll just do this. It's fine. We won't get any weapon levels out of this, I don't think, but you know, it gives us a chance to gain some MP and stuff. So. The Leg Eaters and Hornets, by the way, also each have 6 HP, so if you see me just massacring them, that's why, because they're not very strong. Maria, you're getting some good HP and gains there. You got some stamina out of that as well, so I'll take it. You're still a little bit off on Firion and Guy. It takes a while for you to get enough HP to catch up to them, but we'll get there. Hopefully. Eventually. Well, yeah, I was going to say if Firion gets his cure off, that HP that you lost probably won't mean much. It's not bad, though. I mean, we're getting, you know, instead of just getting 5 to 10 HP out of it, we're getting 20 to 30 out of a cure level 2, so I'll take it. And more magic. Okay. Yeah, so sometimes you get magic, but you don't gain MP. It's not really frustrating, but it does sort of... Sometimes it's not so good, because then, I mean, we'll gain a lot of MP when we get an MP boost now, because he's got 8 magic, so we'll get to 18 MP when we get an MP boost, but it's like, okay, Firion, I get it. You're getting more magic. Just get some MP, man, so we can move on. I actually really only want to get up to about 100 MP on Firion and Guy by the end game. That's really all you need, honestly, because once you get to about 100, you can get through any dungeon with the help of ethers, which you'll be able to buy soon enough. As a matter of fact, let's go to the item shop so I can show that, because you can buy ethers from the item shop. And they're a little on the very expensive side at the beginning of the game. As you can see here, they're 1,000 gil a piece. We don't even have enough to get those yet. But once you can purchase them, you'll be able to get a pretty good supply of them built up, and then you can use them to kind of give yourself a little boost in a dungeon. And yeah, then you'll be in good shape. As for stuff that we can actually afford right now, we could buy potions. High potions heal for a little bit more, and they're not significantly more expensive than regular potions, so it's not a bad idea to keep a small supply of them just handy. The cure spell usually works a little better, but that costs MP, and that's a limited resource, so you can get some eye drops or antidotes as well if you want, but I wouldn't buy these just yet because they're the enemies that can inflict poison on you, but it's not a permanent poison. The poison that we can get inflicted with by hornets in this part of the game is just regular poison, which wears off. It's temporary, so it can wear off during battle, and it will wear off after the battle is over. There's a more permanent version of poison called Venom, if I remember correctly, that's how it is, unless it's switched, where it's permanent. You need to use an antidote in order to cure it, so... same thing for blindness. There's no temporary version of blindness, but the permanent version you have to cure with eye drops. We can't be blinded just yet, though, so I'm not really worried about it. Similar things here. There's status curing items, crosses, mallets. Those will cure. Curse, which is a status that reduces your attack and defense. Mallets, which prevent you from casting magic, or not mallets themselves, but the amnesia status. There we go. You can cure Toad. You can cure Stone. We'll worry about those when we can actually afford them. There's Phoenix Downs over here. There's cottages, which fully restore your HP and MP. Those are really nice, but they're really expensive at this point. And then there's elixirs, which are just like, hey, so do you have way more money than you will ever know what to do with? Here, buy an elixir. So, there you go. We do need to buy, I forget if it's 1 or 2 elixirs, though, for later in the game, but I'll worry about that when we have an influx of money just overflowing out of our pockets, so... Another thing about the learn and ask system is that you can also present items to NPCs. So for example, if we want new dialogue out of Gordon, we can present him with his brother's ring, and he'll say this instead. He did. He has a lot of faith in you, so you don't want to let him down, man. So there you go. It looks like Paul moved on. I wonder where he went. Yeah, we'll see him later. Alright, so let's go present the ring to Your Majesty up here. And we'll see what she says. Because something tells me she's going to want to know about what happened to Scott. It did. Well, about that. Yeah. Sorry, Your Majesty. Nice. Way to stick to the plan, Firion. He would want you to have it. Okay, fair enough. So she lets us keep the ring, which lets us keep access to the world map for the rest of the game. So that's kind of nice. I mean, it's not like we died along the way. We know how to use a shield. That's the important part. Okay, so we can join the army then. Nice. And we already have our first mission because we need to find Mithril. That is the main focus of the army right now. And it's also a word that we can learn. So let's ask about it. Yeah, I could see that. There was also the betrayal, but we'll talk to your father about that. Yeah, so the Empire actually has... The supply of Mithril is being cut off from us by the Empire. And we need to find a source of it that the Empire wouldn't mind parting with, if you know what I mean. By force, because we'll kill them. But Yeah, apparently this guy Joseph in Salamand was going to be our like benefactor for that, but we haven't heard from him. So now we got to go to Salamand to find out what's going on. Yes, ma'am, your majesty, we'll do that. And she also said go with Minwu, which means if we talk to Minwu, he'll talk to us, and he will have us pass through the port town of Paloom, but in order to get to Paloom, we need a canoe. Thankfully, Minwu comes with a canoe when he joins your party, which he does right now. There we go. So there's our 4th party member. The way that Final Fantasy II works is that... Oh, and we also get his canoe, as he said. The way that Final Fantasy II works is that Firion, Maria, and Guy are in your party from the beginning of the game to the end of the game. Your 4th party member is a quote-unquote, not really a guest party member in the same sense that other guest party members are in like Final Fantasy III, but they will switch in and out of your party as you go throughout the game while you're looking for Leon. So eventually we'll get Leon back, but it's going to take a little while, unfortunately, because he's a little predisposed at the moment, so to say it without spoiling what's happening to him. I mean, we didn't find him in Fynn, so where else is he going to be? I mean, I already kind of said it. Like, it's not like they took him back to Palamecia headquarters. So, there you go. Anyway, so your 4th party member to start with in this is Minwu. So it was Leon, but he's not in the party. Minwu's now our 4th party member. He starts with a staff, so we're going to leave him on a staff because that's what he's good at. Well, he's not really good at any weapons, honestly. He's a white wizard, so he's more good with spells. But he also starts with this copper cuirass. It's a copper breastplate, and it actually has stronger defense than the clothes that we've been wearing. Now, not to worry, we'll be able to get access to copper cuirasses for everybody else eventually, but because Maria is our melee unit, effectively, I want to give it to her because it'll give her a little bit more defense. So that should help her survive other attacks a little bit easier than she was because her HP is a little lower. So there you go. All right, Conker, take it easy. You have a good one as well. We will catch you on the next one. And we're going to pass down Maria's clothes to Minwu. Don't ask questions. I don't know how that works either, but he's going to get them. As for Minwu's stats, like I said, he's not really a specialist in weapons. I do want to give him a shield, though, because giving him a shield will help give him a little bit more evasion in case I need him in the front row for something. But I really don't need him in the front row for much, because he has access to a bevy of spells, just an absolute slew of spells that he can use, all at very high levels right from the beginning of the game, and he has the spirit to work with them, because all of them are white magic. And he's got pretty workable intelligence as well, so he could also use black magic fairly effectively. So, I'm going to do that, but let me open my notes since I don't have them open just yet. For some reason, I forgot to open these before starting the stream. Alright, so let me organize his spells in such a way that I'm going to use them that way. So Cure in Life we want to keep. I want to keep his Sap spell as well, so we're going to put that up here. It reduces your target's MP, which is actually fairly useful throughout the game, so we're going to keep that. What else? Oh, and I want to make a little room for Fire, Blizzard, and Thunder, because I'm going to teach him Fire, Blizzard, and Thunder probably right from the get-go, just so he has them. Am I? Yeah, probably will, honestly. They're pretty cheap now. We've got a decent amount of... Well, we don't really have a decent amount of gil yet, because we're going to be buying some upgrades, so maybe I don't buy those for him yet. Maybe I'll just buy him Fire for now. I don't know, I'll figure it out. We want Basuna and Isuna, though. Basuna cures status ailments that wear off after battle, so the temporary ones. And his Basuna is already level 6. Now, the way that Basuna and Isuna work is you have to level them up in order for them to be able to cure stats. Like, if you don't level Isuna up, right now his Isuna can't actually cure stone because it's not at level 4. It won't cure stone, I think, until level 4 or 5, if I remember correctly. It might be 5, now that I think about it. But his Basuna is at a high enough level, I think, to cure all temporary status ailments right from the get-go. So it's pretty useful. So I would keep it, just for the hell of it. We're going to keep Barrier as well. It provides you protection. It gives you resistance to certain different types of elements in the game. And I guess I can talk about that while I'm thinking about it. So they don't list these on your status screen, but there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7... 8 elements in this game. So physical attacks are just physical attacks. They don't have an element, they're just physical. There's fire element, ice element, thunder element, poison element, body element, mind element, matter element, and Death Element. Death Element is just the death spell, so you don't really have to worry about that. Fire is fire, ice is blizzard, thunder is thunder, poison is scourge. There's a poison spell called Scourge, which deals poison damage. And then body, mind, and matter are kind of weird. They're status ailment magic, and there's 3 different kinds. Body spells affect the body, mind spells affect the brain, and matter spells affect your physical outlook, your physical appearance, not body-wise. I guess matter, the best way to describe matter is that you're changing the structure, the molecular structure of something when you use matter spells. As an example, Minwu starts with a teleport spell. It transports you out of a dungeon if you use it in the field, but you can also use it to transport enemies to another dimension if you use it in battle. It's an instant death spell. It's a matter elemental instant death spell. So when you use this, you're taking their molecular structure and you're sending it to another dimension. So that's what a matter elemental spell does. It fundamentally alters the structure of whatever you're casting it on. Whereas body is just like, okay, body is just like blind. If you use blind, you're poking their eyes out effectively or clouding their vision. If you use the sap spell, it's affecting their mind because you're reducing their MP. They can't cast if they don't have MP because their brain affects their MP. Whereas with teleport, you're just transporting them to another dimension, so you're altering their molecular structure. So there you go. Yes, to the void with you. Exactly. And I want to say this about the teleport spell from Minwu. It's another one we're going to keep. It's very, very important in the Dawn of Souls and PSP versions of the game that you start leveling up Minwu's teleport spell as soon as possible. It will be incredibly useful later on down the line in the game. Not so much in the Pixel Remaster, not so much in the NES and PS1 versions, but in these particular versions of the game, teleport is so, so handy to have at a high level. So start leveling it up as quickly as you can. That's another good reason for me not to get Fire, Blizzard, and Thunder just yet, actually. So, where else do I want this stuff? Basuna, Isuna, Barrier, Blink, Protect, Shell, and Teleport. So we want Blink to go here, Protect can go there, Shell can go here. Now, Minwu has a bunch of other spells that he can also use, and they're the ones down here. Silence is a body elemental spell. It prevents them from speaking, so they can't cast spells. It's a temporary type of silence, though. It's a temporary status ailment, so not particularly useful. We're going to get rid of it. Wall actually blocks magic damage up to the level that it is available, specifically black magic damage. So if they cast a level 5 fire spell, Wall has a chance to block all 5 of the levels of that fire spell and prevent it from doing damage. The key word there is a chance, and you know me, I don't like leaving things up to RNG, so we're canning the Wall spell. The Fog spell is the permanent version of Silence. It's a mind elemental spell that inflicts amnesia. Now, amnesia is a permanent status ailment. They can't get rid of it. They're going to be constantly fogged for the rest of the fight, which means they can't cast spells. Problem is, the first time Minwu's in your party, fog isn't really all that useful because the enemies don't really use magic, so bye. Swap is a silly spell. It switches your HP and MP with the target completely. So this is actually helpful if you want to deal damage to yourself right now, because the enemies have 6 HP and 0 MP. So you can swap Minwu's 175 HP and 103 MP onto a goblin, for example. They can never go over their maximum HP or MP, so that goblin will still have 6 HP and 0 MP, but Minwu will also have 6 HP and 0 MP, so you can power level his HP and MP like that. But that feels like grinding, so nope. The Fear spell is an interesting one. I really wanted to try to make this one work. What it does is it increases the enemy's chance to flee. So every enemy starts with a number that's invisible called a Fear score. As their Fear score increases, they have a higher chance of using their turn to run away from a battle. Now in the NES version, the Fear spell actually increases their Fear score by 20 for every successful level that you cast on the enemy. So in the NES version specifically, the Fear spell is probably pretty useful. It's a good way to use Spirit and just waste your turn, but also have the chance to have an enemy run away. In this version of the game, it increases the enemy's Fear score by 1 for every successful level of the spell that hits. And in order to get an enemy to run away, you need it to be a lot higher than 1. It goes up to 180. So, no, we won't use that either. So we'll get rid of that too. And then there's this Dispel. I really wanted Dispel to be a spell that I used as well. The way that Dispel works is it's basically the opposite of Barrier. Barrier gives you resistance to elements, whereas Dispel drops those resistances into normal things. So like if an enemy is resistant to, say, Sap, they're resistant to Mind elemental spells. You can use Dispel, and you can dispel their resistance to Mind elemental spells, which will make Sap hit a little bit more easily. But in the early part of the game when Minwu's in your party, most enemies are not resistant to much of anything, except for, in this case of certain undead enemies, which are resistant to Death Elemental, which you don't have access to anyway, so yeah, we're going to get rid of that too. So these are the spells that Minwu will have available to him. They're all very solid, they're all very helpful, but yeah, we just won't have those other ones, unfortunately. I just don't think they're all that useful, personally, so. Alright, and then we need to go 1, 2, 3. Oops. That, set that there, set that there, bring these down so I can stick Fire, Blizzard, and Thunder in the top here when we get them, and then we'll be good to go. Okay, so all that long-winded explanation out of the way, now you basically know like what every white magic spell does because we talked about almost all of them just now, so there's that. But before you leave, you might want to talk to Hilda again, because she has new things to say about the battle that they had in Fynn. So that's why they're building this dreadnought. They figured foot soldiers aren't good enough to finally kill all of you, so they're just going to kill you with massive firepower. Fair enough. So this dreadnought we've been hearing about. Yeah, so they've enslaved the town of Bofsk, which is further to the northeast than where we're going, in order to build this massive airship. And, well, yeah, as I said, it's an airship, so there you go. We can also ask about the airship, too. So Cid is the owner of the airship in this game, and he's basically retired. He retired as a soldier. Unfortunately, that also means that the soldiers in Fynn don't have access to the airship unless they're using it for just standard passenger travel. It's not used as a weapon of war anymore, so. And apparently he's in Poft. We'll run into him when we go to Poft, because Poft is on the way to Salamand, so we'll try to talk to him about it later. Okay. Well, again, you need to have a little more faith in me, man. I'm not feeling real welcome here when you're talking about that stuff. Yeah, so you can actually get a ship from Palum, and it sails to Poft for a price. That's the problem, is it's for a price. We'll talk about that later. Okay, well, let's see if we can go grab this Mithril, then. It'll give us a fighting chance, so. Anyway, let's go talk to our actual king about all this as well. He needs to know that Count Borgen committed an act of treason. Excuse me. It shall. I will do my best. Yeah, sorry about that, Your Majesty. Oh, so that would explain why he didn't want her to know, because, I mean, she already knows in her heart how he felt about her, but hearing it from a dying man, it's like he said, the confessions of a dying man will only bring her pain. So, but now we can ask His Majesty about all this stuff. Probably best not to talk to a man who's already suffering the stress of being shot in the back about this, because he would be even more stressed out than he already is. So let's ask him about things that'll keep his blood pressure low, shall we? Yeah, it really has. Well, it's not that we were easily defeated. Yeah, one of our counts betrayed us from the inside. See, this is what I mean. There are some lines in this game where it's just like, oh man, like it gives me those shades of Final Fantasy XII's English translation. It's not quite Shakespearean, but it just sounds so theatrical, you know what I mean? And I just like the way that they translated this one. So that's just me. I think this line is just, it's like, you just read it. It's like, then we did not fall to the sword, but to the corrupt hearts of men. It just sounds so much like something somebody in a theater, like a stage play, would say, and I just find that so interesting. So, do you know anything about Mithril, Your Majesty? Yeah, that's the impression that I get. I mean, if the Empire is going to make use of it, then it must have been pretty useful. Okay, and Simmet Falls is near Salamand, so that would explain why they have Joseph on that. Thank you, Your Majesty, that's very helpful. Alright. So, we'll head up towards Simmet Falls then. Well, Salamand first. Great. And we can actually go to Bofsk right now while we're on our way up to Palum and Poft. because they do have some halfway decent equipment up in Bofsk for us to grab. The shops are actually open, despite the fact that the Imperials are working the people there like dogs. You can actually go buy some stuff from there, and it might not be a bad idea for us to do that. I'll think about it. Let me see how much money I have. Yeah, actually, it might not be a terrible idea to do that, because the upgrade that we can get armor-wise from the shop in Bofsk is actually better than the upgrade we can get from Palum and Poft. So, might be worth it to go there. It's like a really good piece of armor for this point in the game as well, so we'll talk about it when we get there. So, what do you know about Mithril there, old man? Well, it's not your lucky day today, but you just wait, because we might be able to get you some pretty soon. Alright, let's buy Minwu a buckler. Should keep him for a little while. There we go. We can buy upgrades to the different shields in just a little while once we get to Palum and Poft, but I'm not too worried about those for now. The bucklers will suffice for a little while, because most of the enemies we're fighting in the early game, they really only hit once, so you really don't need a super effective shield at this point. The upgrade that we can get now is the bronze shield, and it's worth it, but it's not necessary, you know what I mean? So there you go. Let's buy a Thunder Tome to give to Guy so he has something else to cast, and then do I want a Fire Tome for Minwu? Do I need a Fire Tome before I get to the point? Yeah, I'll get him Fire. I want to get him Blizzard and Thunder as well eventually, but it's not really all that necessary just yet. There's also, like I said, the Scourge Tome, which inflicts poison elemental damage. We can't get Scourge yet, and it is somewhat useful, but there's only like 4 or maybe 5 enemies across the whole game that are actually weak to it, so I usually don't find it all that useful myself. I would pass on it personally. I'm going to try to pass on it this playthrough and see if I can get by without it. We'll see. When we get access to it, maybe I'll keep one so that if I need it, I can just use it and then level it up really quickly, but, you know. Alright, so give Guy Thunder, and we'll give Minwu Fire. Like I said, he's not the best black magic caster just yet. His intelligence is only a 16, so it's not great, but it's better than Guy, and Guy's only got 12 right now, so he's not going to be our best black magic caster, but Minwu does make good use of white and black magic spells throughout the game, so just keep that in mind for later. Alright, let's save again. Haven't saved in a little while, so why not? And then we'll head up to Palum, and we'll see where we can go from there. Alright, so the first thing I'd actually like to do before we go to Semet Falls, so you can kind of make a decision at this point in the game. Minwu has access, like I said, to the Sap spell. Sap actually reduces your MP to the point where you'll have very little of it left. And at this point in the game, because it's like a level 4 spell, you can cast it on your party members one at a time, and it will drain almost all of their MP. It is attacking yourself, though, and I'm not really sure how I feel about it. Let me think. The way that I usually do it, here's how I usually do it when I play this game, is I usually do it one time per party member that needs it per town that we go to. So, like, Palum is going to give us, like, 1 for Fury and 1 for Guy. Poft, 1 for Fury and 1 for Guy. Salamand, 1 for Fury and 1 for Guy. And just those little boosts should be enough to get us over the edge for a little while to get us through the first dungeon. But I'm not sure if I want to do that. I might want to just do it without attacking myself, because that's the meme, right? That's what a lot of people do in this game in order to get by, is they attack themselves with weapons and spells in order to increase their damage output. And I don't know if I want to do that, so I feel like I might just pass on doing that, honestly, and we'll see where it gets us. Let's see, why don't you defend just 2 goblins? So let's have Minwu practice his teleport spell. See if it works out. If it doesn't, that's fine. But it is our first instant death spell, like I said. And it worked! Perfect. I can tell you why it worked. So, most status spells in this game, they only need to hit once in order for them to work. Teleport was not particularly good in the old versions of the game, and I think in the Pixel Remaster Actually, I think they kept its accuracy boost from this game. So, like, using some of the later on instant death spells, like the mini spell is an instant death spell that you can use later that's a white magic spell. It has a 20% base accuracy rate. So it'll hit 20% of the time, and then your spirit stat increases that bonus. So, like, if Minwu was to cast a level 1 mini spell, he would have a 68% chance to hit that because it has a base accuracy of 20, and then you add 48, his spirit stat, to that 20%, and that determines how accurate it is. So he'd have a 68% chance to hit it. Teleport, by extension, used to have a 0% accuracy, base accuracy, as an instant death spell. So he would have had a 48% chance to hit that teleport. However, for some godforsaken reason in the Dawn of Souls version and later, it now has, I think they wanted to bump it up to 5, but they might have like missed an integer or something there, because it now has a base accuracy of 55. It is more accurate than not, and it's an instant death spell. Hold up. Wait a minute. Wait a minute here. That ain't right. Something's wrong here. So teleport is really good. Use it. It's the most accurate instant death spell in the game, and you get access to it real early. So use it to your heart's content. It's very good. At least in these versions of the game, anyway. This guy lets you go on the ship. It costs 32 gil to get the Poft. I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to walk, because there's more stats to be gained out of that. So, yeah, there's more stats for us to gain out of us walking there. So, as a result of that, I would much rather just walk than trying to, go on the ship and skip out on the potential stats. And the gil. Don't forget about the gil. The gil is important as well, because right now we have little money, to work with. And there are some upgrades that I'd like to get. As an example, when we get to Bofsk, I need to have 800 gil in my pocket in order to get all the upgrades that I need. So we're going to want to save a little bit of cash. Sir? There you go, Maria. Give it right back to him, right between the eyes is what I was going to say, but he only has one, so all the pirates are missing an eye. Damn the Empire for doing that to these pirates. I don't actually know that they did. Whatever. So, upgrades from the weapon shop. Let's take a look. So we can buy a knife upgrade for Firion. We can get a dagger. We could also buy a mace as an upgrade for Minwu, because in this game, staves are actually in the same class as maces. Staves and hammers are the same weapon type. In the old versions of the game, little money indeed. In the old versions of this game, the mace would actually give you a higher penalty to your intelligence and spirit when you equip it than a regular staff. A staff gives you a -5, a mace gives you a -20. And there's like 4 maces throughout the game. There's like the mace, the mithril mace, the werebuster, the power staff. There's 5. There's the mace, the mithril mace, the werebuster, the power staff, and the diamond mace. I think all of those give you a -20, but in this version of the game, intelligence and spirit penalties don't exist, so you could just as easily equip this instead of a staff. But I'm not really going to be having Minwu attack physically, like, much at all, so he's actually going to be in the back row more times than not in most cases, so I'm not even going to bother getting this for him. I'm just going to leave him with the staff, and that's good enough for a while. I want to get him a better shield, but the staff will do him well enough. So, as for Firion, well, we haven't really been attacking physically that much, but I might as well get him a dagger. Why not? It's only 150 gil, so we'll grab it for him. So there we go. Get a little upgrade. He actually gains attack now from equipping the dagger as opposed to the knife where he loses attack power. So that's kind of nice. I think it even gave him a little bit more accuracy now that I look at it, but I don't know. And with that, we can either buy 3 copper cuirasses, or we can buy 1 white magic spell from Palum. So I think we'll buy the armor first. I know I was saying we would go to Bofsk, but we're going to go to Bofsk as part of the plot anyway, so maybe I'll just wait to buy the upgrades until we actually go there, So. Man, Maria gets to give that pirate right back between the eyes, but Firion doesn't say anything when this lady wants to shack up with him. Maria is right there, Firion. Yeah, Minwu, I'm a healer, but... and just loads the gun, yeah. Maybe Pirate Initiation ends with taking your own eye out. Oof, yeah, it's like that Yakuza thing. We played Yakuza 0, and Kuze had to cut off his own pinky because he shamed the family near the beginning of that game, so I could see it. Alright, we'll get rid of our knife. We don't need that anymore. We got the canoe, and thankfully you cannot sell key items, so don't worry about that. You won't get a bad ending in this game because you accidentally sold your OS chip. I still can't believe that's a thing. Like, I have never played Nier Automata, but I can't believe they just let you do that. That's just silly. Alright, so you can buy bronze equipment here. So bronze shields, they're better than bucklers, they give you more evasion. Buy bronze helms, bronze gloves. The thing about bronze, though, is that it's pretty heavy. It actually weighs your characters down pretty good. Copper cuirasses, however, weigh the same amount as clothes, but give you more defense than clothes do. They give you 5 defense as opposed to the 1 that we had. You can see that on Maria. We gave her the copper cuirass, and she had the same amount of evasion as she had with the clothes on, but more defense. So this is a no-brainer. Just buy 3 of these. And I mean, we have enough gil to get them. So do I want to buy them or do I want to buy magic? If I do buy these now, I'm going to need to get to 900 gil by the time I get to Poft in order to buy all the spells that I want. And I mean, that's fine. I don't know if we're going to get to 900 gil, but we're going to try. So, but at least now our armor is fully upgraded for everybody except for the shields. We can worry about the shields later, so I'm not too worried about those for right now. So there you go. Now everybody's got some copper. And we can sell the clothes off their backs. We don't need them anymore. Get a little bit of our money recouped. Hell, I really don't even need the potions, but I don't know. I'll probably hold on to those for an emergency just in case. So, alright, so new spells available from the shops here. The shops that are here in Paloom are the same as the shops in Poft. So, like, if you can't get something here, don't worry about it. You'll be able to get it in Poft as well. So, we'll just worry about that when we get there. But you can get 3 spells that Minwu already has access to. Well, 4, really, with Cure, but we have access to Cure already. New spells include Blink, Protect, and Shell. All 3 of these are white magic spells, and all 3 of them are good in certain situations. Even Protect. I know I said that evasion tanking is the better of the 2 in this game, but that's more of like an endgame goal, and Blink will allow us to do that. Protect has its own uses, though, so we'll probably be purchasing a Protect tome for Maria, specifically, as well. Blink and Shell will be more Firian's game, because if we want to use Blink to raise our evasion, we want the White Mage to cast it, because they'll have the highest spirit, and therefore the highest chance to get the maximum number of Blinks on whoever they cast it on. Same thing with Shell. We want the person with the highest spirit to cast this to give us the most magic defense. Protect, it's like if it hits you, you get your spirit stat and defense added to your defense. So like if Maria casts Protect level 1 and she gets 1 stack of Protect, she gets 10 extra defense because her spirit stat is 10. So it's okay, it adds a flat bonus, and that's why I usually give Protect to the melee units, because then they have something to do on the turns when I'm buffing them, so they aren't just attacking and doing very little damage, because buffs are pretty good in this game. So basically, that's the gist of it. By the time we get to Poft, I'd like to, I don't have to, but I'd like to be able to purchase Blink and Shell for Firian so that he has something to cast, and then get Maria Protect so that she has something to cast. And then we'll go from there. So, we'll see how that goes. I would love to get Guy some MP before we get to Summit Falls, though. That's going to be our first dungeon. Oh, Goblin Guards, okay. Goblin Guards have access to a bow, so from the back row, they can even attack you with it. And it's not very powerful, but it's enough, so just gotta be a little careful with that. They have 10 HP, I think, so, and Maria will probably gain some HP from this fight as a result of getting hit by that, so. I don't know, everybody just wail on them, it's fine. Aren't really enough of them for us to do much else at this point, so. Nobody's gonna gain, well, Minwu will gain a little bit of weapon experience from that, but, you know. Oh, Firian got an agility increase, nice. And Maria, that was the guaranteed HP increase just proccing there, so we've been in 24 battles, and that's why we got HP from that one, even though we didn't necessarily do much. But, Minwu has not been in 12 battles since we got him, though, so he did not get an HP increase. It's based on not the number of total battles you've done, but the number of battles each party member has been in. So, there you go. Ah, new enemy is Sprinter. These guys have a little more HP, but they're not particularly bad. You just kind of wail on them and then they're done. Might as well cast Thunder, why not? I think they have a little more evasion, though, than the normal enemies do around here, so... might explain why we didn't hit him. But yeah, keep casting those spells. The more spells you cast, the higher level they'll get, and the more chance you'll get of getting MP naturally out of these fights, rather than getting it artificially by casting Sap. Hey, there we go. There's an MP increase. Minwu's level 2 on his staff and shield. And yeah, as you can see, because Furion had 8 magic, he actually got up to 18 MP from casting that Cure spell there. So that's kind of nice. Guy, all we need to do is get you working on that, although you have a Thunder spell to work on now, so you're going to have a lower chance of getting MP because you're using less. But, you know, it's there. Alright, same thing as last time. Second verse, same as the first, except Minwu, why don't you work on something else? What will actually get a boost out of this battle? Teleport will. Blink. So if you're... Each enemy in the game has a rank. I don't really think there's a good way of me talking about this, but I'll just talk about it now. Each enemy has a rank. The Sprinter is considered a rank 1 enemy. Basically, the further you go in the game, the higher the rank of the enemies are going to get. And certain ranks, you won't get spell experience from them after a certain point. Like, if it's a rank 1 enemy, if your spells are above level 4, you won't get any spell experience from casting it once. So I guess we get cast Asuna, because that's not level... that's only level 3, so that should be a little easier to boost up. Granted, it won't do anything, but it might gain a level out of this, which can be useful to us. So. Alright, we're all head full now on HP, so we don't need to keep casting Cure. And that's enough to get rid of the Sprinter. Good. Yeah, so there you go. Minwu got an Asuna level. If I had cast any of his other spells that are at level above level 5 or above level 4 at this point, they wouldn't have gained a level from that. So Cure would not have gotten to 8. Life, same thing. Sap wouldn't have gotten... Well, Sap would have gotten to 5. So I could have cast Sap. I could have cast Teleport or Fire for some extra experience, but we were already going to kill that guy. So I said, it's fine. Let's just not. As a matter of fact, I might not even use Thunder anymore once I... get it. Do I need to get it to level 2 to stop using it? Because there's enemies in the next dungeon, in the first dungeon, Summit Falls, that are weak to Thunder, and we'll just kill them flat out with a Thunder spell from that, so... I might wait to use it until then, because then that'll give us a higher chance of Guy actually gaining MP if I use, if I use Blizzard instead. These Sasquatches are not resistant to Blizzard, so... They have cousins that are resistant to Blizzard, but these ones are not, so they're just regular old Sasquatches, I guess. And we're messing with them, as you can plainly see. Got about 30 HP, I think. They can hit you pretty hard if you don't have, if you don't have good evasion, but... We've got good evasion at this point. It's only a 1 chance of a hit, so... Alright, so Vampire Thorns are a little bit different. They're an upgrade to the Leg Eaters, and they can poison you with a permanent poison. So you gotta be a little careful of them, but... Yeah, we got this, it's fine. I should probably stick Teleport a little higher, since I don't have Blizzard and Thunder just yet. Won't always hit. There's a 99% chance, but you also have to think about the enemy's magic defense when you're thinking about the chance of hitting, and because we only have 1 chance to hit Teleport there, the magic defense of that Vampire Thorn lowers your accuracy. So, gotta keep that in mind as well. Accuracy for spells and weapons can only go up to 99%. It can never get to 100%. That's why you want to level them up, because it gives you a higher and higher chance of hitting that spell, because with stuff like Teleport, you only need to hit once in order for it to actually work. So you want to keep leveling it up just to get that potential chance at increasing it. Yeah, might as well. So now that Blizzard is at level 3, it's actually interesting because it changes its spell animation. We'll see that in a moment. Because basically now it's not Blizzard anymore, it's effectively Blizzara. But we'll see that when Guy actually casts it. So. And the animation changes as a result. Now he throws 3 ice spikes at them instead of just 1. It's kind of cool. I like that. It's a nice little touch, you know. There's a lot of nice little details in this game, I find, personally, so... you already cast teleports, we'll just let Maria finish this guy off. See if Guy gained any MP from that. 167 gil, though, that's pretty nice. How much are we at now? 414? Okay, so we're a little low on that in terms of the amount that I need. So let's just hang out around here for a little bit and just see if we can get a little money before we move on. That will definitely, yes, that will get us some money right there. 7 goblins, okay. Now we're talking. Now we're cooking with gas here. Alright, so let's do that, and then we can start teleporting them away. like I said, the back row, which in this case are these 4 goblins, are only vulnerable to bows and magic. So we can start teleporting them away and have a higher chance of them. Like, they won't be able to do anything because they don't have bows and they don't have magic. So we can just get rid of them, and that'll minimize the amount of enemies that can hit me. So, like that. And Maria should even get some weapon experience out of this battle, because if I have everybody defend after this, we can just have her clean up and go from there. As long as they don't run away, which they can do, but we'll see. Nobody did this time. Maybe I will turn on cursor memory, just because it's a pain to keep going down there in each case. And, yeah, use a fire spell, why not? Not bad, Minwoo, not bad. And there we go. So yeah, when you encounter large groups like that, oh, they only gave me 137 gil. Well, I mean, that's not terrible. It's a pretty good chunk, but it's less than they could have given. Enemies give a varying amount of gil. It depends on... it's completely random as far as I'm aware. So, like, those goblins can give us as little as 4 gil, but they can give us as much as 37 each. So, we could have gotten a lot more than we got just there, but that's okay. Let's see, Maria's weapon experience. So she needs to hit enemies 4 more times in a total of 2 more battles in order to get to weapon level 5. Everybody else is still weapon level 2, and that's fine. They don't really need to go much higher than that for right now, but it's there. Try to get a little more money together. I don't need to buy Protect just yet for Maria, because Minwoo can do it if I need anybody to do it, but I would like to get it eventually, so... Alright, your cure is level 3. No, I don't want you to run. Oh, I forgot to set the cursor. That's okay. I'll do that after this. Okay. A little more gil this time? Well, 27. I guess that's fine. Alright, so let's set the cursor to memory so I don't have to do that again, but that's fine. And, you know, I might as well go heal, because I want Guy to get some MP, so I might as well heal up my MP so I can actually cast spells again, and then I can maximize my chances of getting some MP while I'm out here in the field. Because it's nice to do that while you're out in the field, because you can always just go to a town and then rest at the inn in order to get your MP back. When you're in a dungeon, you don't have that luxury, because when you're out of MP, you're just out of MP. That's it. You got nothing at that point. You're out of gas. So you just got to deal with it. But when you're out in the field, you can kind of just do this and fix it. It's not a problem, you know? Anyway, what did you say? I kind of glossed over that. Ah, okay. So we want to go north to get to Salamand. And this is the guy you'd talk to if the ship was here, but we left the ship at Palum, so it's not going to be here. As far as I know, all of these engineers say the same thing. They're talking about the Dreadnought, which is a little unfortunate, but, you know. Here's Sid. Where can I go on the airship? You said there's no place you can't take me, but... Okay, fair enough. Sounds good. You know anything about the Dreadnought? Yeah, I guess. Well, thanks for the opinion on that. Yeah, so Sid doesn't really say much at this point, but his airship is fairly useful for taking you all over the world. If you have the money. And this is the kind of money you'll be spending. So you can go straight to Bofsk for only 100 gil, which is not terrible. It's a pretty easy way to get to Bofsk if you don't feel like walking around the mountain range, but I don't mind walking, so I'll probably do that. Salamand is just to the north, but it costs 200 gil. You can go straight to Summit Falls and skip the walk if you want to pay 300 gil. And you can even go all the way to Kashuan, which is, at the moment, just completely deserted and full of monsters for 400 gil. You can also take this airship to Gatria, Finn, and Altair for increasing amounts of money, but a lot of these are just kind of like ridiculous amounts. Like, you can get back to Altair for basically 32 gil with just the ship if you're in that much of a hurry. You only have to walk like 15 steps, so I wouldn't pay 700 gil for that. That's kind of absurd. So I usually don't pay for the airship. There's a few times where I'm like, yeah, you know, we'll just use it to go here or here, but I usually don't pay for it. It's honestly not usually something I'm that keen on. I just walk because it gives me... The thing about walking in this game is it gives you the highest opportunity of running into enemies and increasing your stats as a result of it. If you're not really running into as many enemies, you're not increasing your stats, and that means you'll have to grind later. I don't like grinding for the sake of grinding. If I'm going to grind, I'll just do it during the regular gameplay, you know what I mean? That's why I'm casting all these white and black magic spells while I'm in battle, because then I don't have to grind those out later. So. Alright, we're looking for the magic shop, because the weapons and armor will be the same. Here's the magic shop. And we will buy... we'll buy Blink. Out of the three, it's probably the most useful. And it'll give Firion something to cast, so let's do that. And there we go. Get him Shell eventually as well. We'll get Maria Protect. And the rest is the same. The armor shop will sell the same stuff. This guy says the same thing as all of those guys in the pub do. Yeah, I noticed. It's kind of expensive at this point, but, you know, it's there. And armor shop, same stuff available. We already got our armor upgrades, so I'm not really super concerned about that. I don't really want to go straight to Salamand, though, I don't think, because there's new stuff available on Salamand in terms of weapons and armor. There's no Copper Cuirasses available anymore, it's just bronze armor, which is the heavier version. It gives you the same defense as the Copper Cuirass, but it's heavier, so... That's something I can talk about. So, heavier armor, generally speaking, is not something you really want in this game. I've mentioned that before, and I'll say it again till I'm blue in the face, but there is one situation where having heavier armor might actually come in handy, and that's if you actively want to weigh down a character so that they move slower. The weight of your armor affects your turn order in this game, so if you have heavier armor on, you will move slower in a fight, and therefore you will, you know, go last in the turn order, or later in the turn order than other people would. So, as an example, you can take your white mage, in this case Firion, and you can weigh him down with heavy armor, and he'll always go last in the battle. He'll take the last turn, like the enemies might even go before him. So that will allow him to heal at the end of an entire round so that he can mitigate any damage you take from a boss fight. In Final Fantasy Legend 2, I find that particularly useful, because in Final Fantasy Legend 2, so much damage is going out in any given round that it's really worth your while to do that. But in this particular game, I don't find that there's so much magic going out that it makes much of a difference, so I usually don't bother with that. But you can if you want to. So, I usually just put everybody in the lightest armor I can find and let them go nuts. So, there you go. It's worked out pretty well for me so far. Alright, so Maria will get you your weapon experience now. Goblin guards won't run away like regular goblins will, so you can pretty safely just leave them for last. And there you go. 90 gil, some agility for Firion, some HP for Minwu. That was a guaranteed boost. And Minwu has 20 stamina, so he'll actually get a pretty decent-sized chunk of HP from, from actually fighting around here, so. Anybody else see that? It's like a little dot in the mountain range there. Oh. Huh. Wonder what this place is all about. A day. Another day. Yet another day. Dace? I don't know. Something like that. But yeah, you can't actually get into this door. You have to interact with these days with particular... Well, not with items, but there's something you have to do to them in order to even get into the Arcane Sanctuary. It's a bonus dungeon, so I'm not going to worry about that for a little while, but that's where the hub area, quote-unquote, of the Arcane Labyrinths is. So if you finish those up and you want to come back here, you can. Oh, look, 7 goblins. Do a blink. Do a blizzard. We'll do a fire. Let's see, 1... Okay. I'm just trying to judge if Maria will be able to hit enough things in order to get her weapon level up here, and she should be able to from us doing this. So. Still going to try to cast a bunch of blizzards so Gaia can get his MP increase, but we'll see if that happens. Just cast Blink on Maria, because why not? We got low spirit, so it's not going to have a very good accuracy rate. It has a base accuracy of 50%. I think most regular buffs have a base accuracy of 50%, if I remember correctly. So like Blink, Shell, Protect, all that stuff. So, of course, I think those are affected by your magic defense as well, so you gotta just keep that in mind. Your magic defense actively... Well, no, actually, I don't think it does inhibit white magic spells now that I think about it. I think that's only Final Fantasy VII where that happens. So, I wouldn't worry. I don't think it's something we need to worry about too much at the moment. 250 gil, that's nice. Guy got an MP boost, perfect. That battle couldn't have gone much better for us. Alright, so 18 MP, you'll get to 26. If we get another boost, you'll get to 24. So we should keep casting these spells so we can try to get a little bit more MP before we go into the dungeon there. And then we should be okay. Got 585 gil. Let's go back to Poft. We've almost got enough. We got 250 gil from that one fight. So at this point, we've almost got enough to get Protect and Shell. So we might as well go grab them. Uh-oh, ambushed! By a soldier, no less. And this one has a bow attack that actually hurts quite a bit. So we're going to have to be a little careful with this guy. But, yeah, we could probably handle him. Just spam spells at him. He's got like 50 HP, so he's a little tougher than most of the enemies around here. But, yeah, we can handle him. See? Guy can kill him in one hit with Blazara. And we got a potion from him. So sometimes enemies will just drop items instead of giving you actual, like, money at the end of a fight. In that particular case, that guy dropped a potion instead of giving me money. I would have much preferred the money, to be fair, but hey, can't win them all, you know? So, alright, well, let's heal while we're here. Because that'll, again, give us an increased chance every time we heal. We're burning a little bit of money, but it gives us a chance to get Guy and Firion a little bit more MP, so... And that's what we want. Semet Falls, I'd like to have around 30-ish MP for both of them, so that would mean 2 more increases. I don't know if we'll get those from just here, but we are just kind of putzing around until we get enough to buy Protect and Shell, so we might as well just do that until we're ready and then go from there. So, just cast Blink. And then you're at level 5 right now with your axe level, so it's gonna be a little bit before you can actually do anything with that. We're gonna need some bigger groups before, I mean, unless I was having you attack everybody, but I'm trying to work on everybody else's spells while I'm at it, so. Oh good, we got a Blink to work, and Guy blocked an attack with his physical evasion. That's not the, oh my god. That's not bad. That's why you got to be a little careful with Maria as your melee unit, because that bow 1 attack, if she wasn't the melee unit, that would have probably killed her, which would have meant that Minwu would have had to do a little bit of shenanigans to fix us. But, yeah, thankfully we don't have to worry about that, because these guys will be dead, like, right now anyway, so. Evasion does not help against bow attacks, by the way. Bow is considered a quote-unquote spell in this game, and it hits... It always hits, so it doesn't, you can't mitigate it. It has a base power level that will always hit, and depending on whether or not the way that spells like Fire and Blizzard and Thunder and all those work is that they have a base power, and then your intelligence gets added to that amount in order to increase the damage of it, and then it gets mitigated by magic defense. If your magic defense procs. In our case, our magic defense is kind of low, so bow 1 is still going to do pretty substantial damage because we just won't... It hits against your magic defense, but we just don't have high enough magic defense to actually block it, so... Or avoid the big damage that it can do. So, but, you know, we'll get that over time, it's fine. I mean, Minwu's already got 2 chances to dodge with a 50% rate, so he's doing pretty good, so that means the rest of us will make it eventually, too. Guy got another MP increase out of that fight, and Maria's at 55 HP. We have 767 gil. Let's go into Poft. And I'm just going to get into one more battle before we go, just because I've walked enough steps, I might as well. And then we'll go from there. So this will get us... We could get some extra weapon levels for Maria by... you know, fighting these guys and only having her fight them, but I think it might be better to just... Oh, you know what, actually, Guy, why don't you hit the Goblin Guard in the back row, and then Minwu, you do the same but with Teleport, just so we can see if we can get rid of them, and then we'll let Maria clean up after that. I guess really the only one that I would like to get 30-something MP on is Guy, though, because he's going to be the one casting all the offensive spells, so... It would be better for him to be at a little bit higher of a level of MP than Firion. Like, Firion's got Blink, and it's only level 1, so I'm not really super concerned about that. Although I could cast Cure on Maria, because she won't get any benefit from not casting it, you know. Or by sitting at that same amount of HP. She won't get any benefit. You know, if I go before everybody else goes, which I might not. Okay, we did. Good. So Cure is level 3 now, so it's effectively Cura. Not all spells have a change in animation when you increase their levels, but in the case of like Fire, Blizzard, Thunder, Scourge, and Cure, and a few others, there's a few others in the game that also change, they will change their animations as you go up in levels. Like stuff like Blink and Shell, they'll have the same animation throughout, but certain ones do change their animation as you level them up, so. Okay, and we've still got some gil to spare, not bad. Is there anything I want to buy from Salamand before we go to Seven Falls? I don't need a mace. We could get a long sword, which is an upgrade to what we've got, and I think there might even be battle axes available. I guess we'll find out when we get there. I don't know if I want a battle axe. Oh, you know, I kind of need to go buy the spells that I was just talking about. Hang on, let me go buy those first before we leave, because I won't be able to access them in Salamand. They've got entirely new spells available, and they're very expensive, so won't be able to do much with that. Alright, so we got Blink already. Let's grab Protect, that's for Maria. Hopefully I remember that, and Shell for Firion. And then we'll be good. Alright, so Shell first, since I know I'm going to give that to Firion straight away. And then Protect we'll stick on Maria, so she can cast that on herself and start working on that. And it's because of the fact that Protect isn't particularly important. Like, that's why I'm giving it to my melee unit, because it's like, okay, it gives you a flat bonus, and I mean, that's nice, but defense isn't a stat that's like super important. Like, it's good in the early game for her to have that, and it will continue to be useful throughout the game if enemies hit against our defense, but the later you get into the game, the less enemies that will actually do that, so it's probably better in a lot of cases to just not do that. Like, just not to rely on it super heavily, you know what I mean? So, yeah, I guess why not? Although, yeah, I was going to say you're going to go first with that, and that might mean you'll kill this guy before everybody else gets a chance to go. Yep, whoops. Oh, that's great, but it's fine. You gotta be a little careful sometimes in Final Fantasy II, especially if there's only one enemy on the field, because sometimes your guys will just go first and they'll be like, okay, I'm killing this guy before you can get any experience with anything else. So you gotta be a little careful with that. It can sometimes not work out so well for you. But it's fine. Alright, so this battle we can mitigate the damage we take because the goblins can't attack from the back row. So we'll do that. We'll keep working on Shell for Firion. If he gets an MP boost, that's great, but if he doesn't, I'm not really super concerned about it. Again, I'm more concerned about Guy getting up to, I think he'll get to 30, what does he have, 30 or 24 to start with, and he's got like 7 magic. He might have 8 now, so he'd get to 32 if he gets a magic boost, which would be not bad. I'll cast Blink as well, why the hell not? And then we're not going to cast that stuff anymore. And I guess we'll just work on getting rid of some of these guys. Yeah, might as well get a little bit of extra damage off, or a little bit of extra experience off for our white magic while we're just thinking about it, you know? $129 gil, that's not bad. Minwu's teleport is level 3, that is looking good. How's he doing everywhere else? Fire's at level 2, that's also looking good, and everything else is kind of just floating on its own. We could, you know, boost Cure up to level 8 right now by healing 2 of his HP, but nah, that's a lot of MP to lose. It's 8 extra gil I'd have to pay at the inn, and I mean, we've got a good amount of gil. We've been fighting a good amount of goblins. I've gotten to certain points in this game where I'm just not fighting enough enemies that give gil. Like, the Leg Eaters and Hornets don't give very much gil at all, whereas the goblins give a pretty decent amount of gil each. Like, I think the Leg Eaters and Hornets have a lower maximum they can give you, and they have the same minimum, which is 4. But goblins have a higher maximum they can give you, so generally speaking, they give more gil than other enemies do at this point in the game. So you generally want to fight them if possible, because they give you more money to work with, so that's kind of nice. I guess for demonstration purposes, I can show this off. I don't know if it's worth it for me to do this because it's going to cost us at the inn, but like if you wanted to... No, I'm not going to do it, actually. I was thinking about it. I'm tempted to do it. But you can cast any spell on your own party, and first of all, it'll increase your magic defense, but second of all, well, not just from one spell, but repeatedly you can cast spells on yourself to increase magic defense. But also, in this particular case, Sap would work on Firion, and it would reduce his MP down to, like, low single digits. So then he'd have a higher chance of gaining MP and magic at the end of the fight. I've made the decision to restrain myself. I will not do so. I will not take it with a box. I will not take it with a fox. I don't remember this Dr. Seuss rhyme. So go away and leave me be. Something like that. Well, he got a magic boost out of it. Not an MP boost, but a magic boost. So okay, so he'll get to 33 MP if I get a magic or an MP boost in a minute. And Blizzard will be level 4, which will be very high for this point in the game, but it'll serve him well enough, so that should be all right. Let's go buy our upgrade from Salamand, and then we'll work on getting that MP boost before we leave. Salamand is a nice town. It's got this nice light snowfall. I've always liked it here. I don't know what it is. It's just like a nice wintry cottage town, you know? Oh, it gives you this very comfy vibe, so it's pretty nice. It also has new spells available. So there's the Life Tome, which revives an ally that's been knocked out. So Minwu's got access to that, but eventually we might want it for ourselves. I'll keep that in mind, because Firion can make good use of that. There's also the Sap Tome. It does the same thing as it does for Minwu to reduce enemies' MP. I'd like this for Firion eventually as well, because having access to a Mind Elemental spell against certain enemies can be pretty useful, especially one that prevents them from casting on you. A lot of enemies that are susceptible to Mind spells cast spells, so sometimes it's nice to just take them completely out of the fight. They can still attack you physically, but they're usually not very strong physically, so it's nice to just take some foes out of the fight by just reducing their MP down to 0 in some cases. So we'll work on that. There's also Warp, which is a nice little traversal tool. It's also an instant death spell. It's a matter elemental spell. But it transports you up one floor when you use it in the field. And sometimes that's pretty useful. If you're in a dungeon and like there's a dead end and you went down a flight of stairs to get to a dead end, sometimes it's just easier to warp back to those stairs and then go back than trying to walk all the way back over and around and all that other stuff. So. And then Teleport, of course, Minwu has it. It transports you out of the dungeon, but it's also a matter elemental spell. Difference is this one's a white magic spell, this one's a black magic spell, and Warp has significantly less accuracy than Teleport in this version. It only has a 10% base accuracy rate, so it's really not that great of an instant death spell. It's okay though, because you don't really need instant death with black mages in the early game, because you've got stuff like Fire and Blizzard and Thunder to cast on enemies and hit their elemental weaknesses. White mages don't have any damage dealing moves for a while, so it's nice to have access to some instant death. It lets them be effective in battle sometimes, if their RNG is preferable, without, you know, really having to worry too much. That being said, I don't want to buy a Teleport Tome for Firion. I'm going to give it to him, but we're going to find one for free. So that'll save me 1,000 gil, and that's nice because in the early game, gil's tight, so you want to make sure you save your money where you can. That's why we haven't bought Fire yet as well, because we'll be able to save some money by finding a Fire Tome. Well, we bought Fire from Minwu, but you get the idea. Do I heal first, or do I get the Battle Axe first? I'll get the Battle Axe first. I'm not exactly hurting for HP and MP right now, so excuse me. Alright, so Maria, I have an upgrade for you. It's actually only 250, that's not terrible, so I'll take it. And it gives her a little bit of extra damage. I think it might give her a little more accuracy as well. Let's see. Whoops. 62 versus... Oh, wow, it's even less accuracy. Okay. Who wants to play Russian roulette with Maria's battle axe? Oh boy. Alright, that's fine. I made this bed. I'm gonna lay in it now. Oh man. Alright. That's hilarious, but I'll take it. Do I start upgrading to bronze shields now? I feel like that might not be a terrible idea. Again, you can buy bronze armor as well, but I just... Watch. So you see how there's no arrow? That means that it's doing the same thing in terms of defense bonus, but it's not equivalent because it weighs more. So if you ever see nothing there, it's not that they can't equip it, it's that it does the same thing as what you have on, but it's heavier, or it's lighter, depending on what you're wearing. So I wouldn't buy it, it's just too heavy. You could buy these because these are better than having nothing at all, but again, they weigh you down, so I would say, maybe pass on those two. Bronze shields, I can buy one. Let's get one for Maria, why not? And I should still have enough money to sleep at the inn after this. So yeah, as you can see, it doesn't raise defense, but if we look at her evasion, so it's 140% right now, this should raise it by a little bit. Not much, but a little bit. 46, yeah. So it gave her 6% extra evasion from equipping that bronze shield. So that's not terrible. That should help a little bit. Alright, got 89 gil to our name. If we need to, we can sell a few potions. I think they only sell for like 10 or 15 gil, but, you know. At this point, we've bought everything that I want to buy, so I'm not really super concerned about our gil total. And by the time we need to buy something else, well, we won't have the gil to buy everything by the time we get out of Summit Falls, but we'll have a little more gil to our name, at least. So, speaking of Summit Falls, that's our next destination. After I get Guy a little bit more MP, and maybe I'll get Firion a little bit more as well. Nah, I'm just gonna kind of roll with it. He doesn't have any spells that he casts right now that I need to be super concerned about because Minwu can just cover for him. So Firion can kind of just chill with his spells for a little while. So. Okay. I'll keep that in mind. I can look at that on my map now, but yeah, so that's how you're going to find it. You're going to go south and west from here to get to it. So I will attempt to do that. Yeah, so the whole town's male population has been enslaved to work in the mines in Summit Falls. Except for Joseph. For some reason, they left him alone, probably because he could beat their asses if they looked at him wrong, but, you know. I mean, look at the guy, like, I think that's supposed to be a mustache, but frankly, it just looks like he's, like, scoffing his upper lip at them really, really harshly. So, he just, I don't know, I get this impression that his voice coming out would sound like Arnold Schwarzenegger, so, like, I don't know, that's just the impression I get out of him. He's a Terminator, that's all I know. How much do you know about the rebellion, sir? Short in the tooth, but long in the bravery? This metaphor is going to go somewhere horrible if I keep talking about it. You know about Mithril, don't you? Yes, Mithril. Okay, what's your lead? Maybe we can follow up on it. Oh, okay. Sure, what's that? As you can plainly tell, people don't just trust you right off the hop in this game. You kind of have to do something for them first. Which, you know, fair play, this is a war, a world racked by war. So it would be hard to earn people's trust in a world like this. Even if you say you're from the rebellion. You know, he's been burned before, the whole town's been enslaved, so... Okay, sounds like a plan. So now Summit Falls, like I said, is actually the first dungeon. It's the source of the mithril that you need for the rebellion. So Joseph, by sending you there, is kind of killing two birds with one stone because he'll let you get your mithril, one, and two, you'll rescue the townsfolk in the process. About halfway through the dungeon is where you rescue the townsfolk, and then the other half of the dungeon is you getting the mithril. So you can come back after doing the first half if you really want to, but it's honestly probably better to just beat the whole dungeon in one shot if you can, so we're going to try to do that if possible. I don't know if we'll beat it all tonight, because we've been at it for about a little over 2.5 hours, and I still need a little MP before I go, but, you know. It's to the south, though. Although, if we look at our map, hold on, what was select again? This is it. Oh, hi, airship. So you can go two different ways to get to Summit Falls, because this is Summit Falls right here. So you can go south and kind of hug around this way, use the canoe to get past the little basin where the waterfall, there's a waterfall like right here. Use it to get past the basin, go up through the forest, there's a narrow little passage through the mountains, row back across, and here you are at Summit Falls. Or you can go all the way to the west, travel across this small river, and go all the way down before you get to the waterfall, and that'll get you to Summit Falls as well. I usually prefer to exit this way rather than enter this way, so probably that's what we'll do. But first, while we're just wandering around looking for MP bonuses, let's look at this little cave that's over here, shall we? Why not? We might as well. You just attack. You just cast Blizzard, because I'm still looking for MP. And yeah, that's good. You can just stand pat, Minwu. It's fine. I probably should be having you use your staff, but you're at... Oh, wow, Maria, you can actually kill that guy in one hit with your battle axe now. That's pretty good. I'll have to keep that in mind, because I wanted Guy to cast so he could get some MP. What was I going to say? Yeah, you're at level 2 already with your staff, right, Minwu? Yeah, so you're fine in that department. I don't really need to super concern myself about your weapon levels. The way that I'm planning on having it happen, the reason why Maria is at such a high level at this point, first of all, is to help her evasion, but second of all, it's also because, well, first of all, it's really, the first thing I should say is that it's the only thing that she's really focused on is melee combat. Second of all, it's to help her evasion. But third of all, her attacks are going to eventually help her get all the way up to like level 10 with her skill level with axes and shields. Whereas everybody else, since they're going to be casting mainly, they won't really need to get that high. I think probably level 5 or level 6 would be enough for Firion and Guy's stuff to get them through the rest of the game. Especially since when we get into boss battles later on in the game, this is what the party formation is going to look like. Maria's going to be in the front row. Usually our fourth character will not be a wizard like Minwu, so they'll also be in the front row, and then Firion and Guy will be in the back row. But for now, I want them to gain HP, so I want them in the front row. So what do I need to know about this Arcane Labyrinth? We've been to the Sanctuary. Oh. Sure, why not? So, like I said, the Arcane Labyrinth is a bonus dungeon, and the way that the bonus dungeon works is it's based on your key terms that you've learned throughout the game. You can talk to the doors in the Arcane Labyrinth, and when you tell them a word, you ask them a word, they will change what floor you go to depending on the word that you told the door. It's a little bit of an interesting way of using the key term system in a different spin. Obviously, it's a lot more difficult than we can really do anything with for right now, but yeah, and you also can't, yeah. So that's the thing, though, about the Arcane Labyrinth. You have to be careful when you go in, because you can't come out once you go in, first of all, and second of all, you can't save at all in the Arcane Labyrinth. So you have to be careful because it's just a straight shot. Once you go in, you're committed to that until you get to the other side or you die. So just make sure you're prepared before you walk in. We won't be doing this until like near the end of the game because we won't have enough key terms to really finish it out without seeing the same floor over and over again, basically. Like, you can tell that the doors, the same terms over and over again to keep doing the same. I think you have to alternate terms. Like, you can't just say Wild Rose 4 or 5 times in a row. You have to, like, Wild Rose one floor and then something else the next floor. And then I think you can go back to Wild Rose after that. But you can kind of use similar terms over and over again in order to just get by, but we're going to wait until we have enough key terms to just get through all of them without ever seeing the same floor twice. So, and then there's also combinations that you can do with words. Like, certain words are affected by each other. It's kind of complicated at the moment, so I'm not really too concerned about what it does. This guy's even more bizarre because there's some weird, like, favoritism to certain words. Like, if we talk about Wild Rose, he'll tell you what these words bode for your party members, and it's weird. Like, I think it affects the reward that you can get at the end of the whole, if you go through the whole labyrinth early. Like, let's say, for example, you want to go through there's 3 labyrinths that you can go through. You want to go through all 3 of them with Minwu in your party. Fine, fair play. It's going to be difficult, but you can do it. If you do that, and then at the end of the whole thing, you can ask a key term for a reward from the end NPC that you find at the very end of the whole thing. And you can get ultimate weapons for characters by doing that. So, like, we could get a staff for Minwu that gives him, like, massive, massive stat boosts, like, right here at this point in the game if we really wanted to. I never really found that all that useful, personally. The weapons that they give are specific to the character, which in certain cases is fine, because, like, with Minwu, it's like, okay, he's a white wizard, so he's going to use a staff. It just kind of makes sense. But with other characters, especially like in the case of Firion, Maria, and Guy, I usually switch up their weapons, but their exclusive weapons are what they had at the beginning of the game. Firion gets a sword, Guy gets an axe, Maria gets a bow. So you can't really do a lot of the variety that I like to do in this game if you're just using those weapons. So yeah, not my favorite system, so that's why I usually don't bother with it until the very end of the game when you can do some wacky, unique stuff with the Arcane Labyrinth. So we won't be bothering, but it's there in case you want to bother. I think there's a whole, like, pretty decent FAQ on GameFAQs that talks about the key terms and stuff and what they're used for. I have a few notes of my own just from my own playing, but yeah, not really something that I'm super concerned about. So, alright, so let's see if we can get some MP for Guy before we go. 119 damage. Jesus Christ, Maria. Getting pretty strong with that axe there, girl. Ah, I thought that was MP. Oh, there's an antidote that I don't have to buy, so that's not bad. I mean, we have Asuna if we need it, but Minwu got an HP increase, so that's good. Guy, how close are you to... Oh, okay, Blizzard's level 4 now, so now you'll use even more MP in the process. And that might be enough to get us that one last MP boost that I want before we go to Summit Falls, so we'll see. And then we'll heal in Salamand, and then we'll go from there. Just attack, you do that, and I'll get your fire going. And then we should be good. At the risk of sounding as lewd as possible, I know I wasn't planning on doing this at the very beginning of the game, but I love me a girl with a big axe. Maria, you are doing more damage than Guy is doing with a spell at this point. That is practically unheard of in this game. Alright, well, Guy got an agility boost. That's not an MP boost, but an agility boost for him is really valuable because he doesn't really get much agility, so hey, I'll take it. And then, who else? You got Spirit, right? Yeah, okay. So we're working our way up a little bit. Just bit by bit, you know. It's not much, but we'll take it. Alright, 6 goblins. I'll take that too. This is level 2 now, so we can just start working on Blink again. That's kind of how I'm going to work Firian's spells a little bit for the support spells like Blink and Shell. Is I'm kind of just going to say, okay, this is at a higher level than this, so we'll work on this next, and then we'll just keep boosting them up kind of evenly. But we'll focus on one at a time, so that way we can, well, get them up evenly without being too ineffective with them, you know. Is Teleport level 3 good for now? No, I kind of want it higher, honestly. I'd love to get Teleport to level 5 for Minwu before we get to a certain point in the game, but I don't know if that's going to happen because he's got a lot of other stuff to focus on instead, so... Basically, before the end of Bafsk, if I can get his Teleport to level 5, that would be awesome, but I don't think that's going to happen, so... We'll see. You never know, but... I don't think it's going to happen. I kind of don't want to burn my Thunder charges too quickly. So I'll cast Blizzard again and see if we can just fish for that MP boost again. I mean, we should get a decent chunk of gil out of these guys. There we go, Guy. Now you're hitting for triple digits. I'll take it. 146, that's pretty good. There's that MP boost and a magic boost, perfect. We don't need too much MP. Like I said, by the end of the game, probably about 100 for both Firian and Guy is enough, where Maria, if I can get her to, I mean, like 30 or 40, that should be enough for her for the entire game, because she's only going to have a couple of spells, so it's not really going to be that necessary to get more, but... Yeah, for the early game, it's tough. If you don't have a lot of MP, especially when you go into Summit Falls, again, it's like if you run out, you're just out of gas. That's it. Like, there's nothing you can do, you know? But having a little bit of extra before going is usually pretty valuable. Excuse me. So you're at 33, you'll go to 43 from the next fight. Here's what I'm going to do. I'll do this once, okay? Exactly once. Hello, who are you? I thought... Oh, you're one of the guys that talks about stuff in the Arcane Labyrinth. That's why you're here, even though you're one of the guys, so... Yeah, so he talks about one of the things you can do in the Arcane Labyrinth there, even though he should be enslaved at Summit Falls, because he's one of the male villagers, but... I mean, they just added him in just to say, hey, here's something that you can do in the Labyrinth, but not really something I'm too concerned about. I guess cure everybody. Why not? And then fish for another MP increase. And I will do exactly one sap. Just one single sap to demonstrate what I was talking about. Here you go. So sap will go off. It's level 4, so it will hit. And it'll drain 10 MP from Firian. He'll then use Cure level 3, which will drain 3 more. He now lost 13 MP from this fight, so he has a really high chance of gaining MP and magic from this. That is the only time, the singular time, the solitary time that I will attack myself for profit in this game. So there you go. I'm not going to do it again. You can't make me. That was just for demonstrative purposes. Hopefully it works. Well, it didn't work. I got a magic increase, but not an MP increase. I guess at least Minwu got a sap level out of it, so that's not terrible, but... you know, it didn't get me what I wanted. And that's why I'm not going to do it again, because it didn't get me what I wanted. Okay, but you get the point. You can attack yourself with sap. It'll let you gain MP and magic a little faster. You could even save scum it if you really want to, but the more you do it, the more expensive it gets, so you got to be a little careful. After a while, it can start to really rip into your pocketbook. I've done it, though, before, where I've played this game all the way through, and, like, I've gotten all the MP that I want for the entire game before we finish up in Bofsk. Like, that's how committed to the cause I was. Granted, after a certain point, I basically had to grind for money because I didn't have any, but you can do it if you really want to. I'm not gonna bother. I feel like that's too much, so we'll just head straight to Cement Falls now. Let's just save and then go. We'll go for it. Maria, how are you doing on your HP now? 63? That's not terrible. We're working our way up. You got 8 stamina. She might eventually overtake the guys in terms of HP, but because her evasiveness is so high now, and it will continue to get higher the further along in the game we go, it might be tough for her to gain HP. She might have, she might be the least amount of HP on a warrior that you've ever seen in a video game. Unfortunately, but it is what it is, you know, it's fine. She'll probably be very similar in terms of her HP values with the guys by the end of the game, so I feel like that should be okay. Alright, so because we're going to a dungeon, I'm going to try to, like, conserve my MP on pretty much everyone except Minwu. Minwu has 103 MP, and that's enough to get us through the dungeon easily. Like, without even any remote amount of trouble, we'll get through the dungeon with that amount of MP. So he can kind of throw out a few spells if he wants, but everybody else doesn't really have a lot of MP, so I'm going to save it for, like, situations where it's actually really useful to me. So, meantime, we can take a look at the 2D waterfall they've got going on here. Doesn't really show much depth, but that's fine. Doesn't have to. We can walk around this way, and then we can go where we're going. After we get ambushed by a whole bunch of hornets and block a bunch of their attacks, or just straight up dodge them. When it says miss, by the way, when you block with your shield, it's as if you're dodging an attack. It's the same sort of a thing, it's just a different animation for flavor. So if you see that, that's why that's happening. So there you go. Finally beaten Rabbit and Steel on normal. No wonder barely anyone has the achievement for beating the game on hard. That tough, huh? I mean, I get the impression from what Lily told me about it that it's a pretty tough game, so I can definitely see it being one of those things where people have a hard time with it, you know. So, why don't you cast some fire? I could cast fire on the Queen Bee in the back there, and that would probably be a more effective use of my attack, but you know, it's fine. Nope, there he goes. Yeah, so when you block for 0 like that, it's effectively as if you'd completely dodged the attack. So it's basically like if the enemy missed. So now we can get some weapon experience for Guy and Firion here while we're at it. So might as well do that while we're here. Imagine Ultimate in Final Fantasy XIV, that's sort of what the highest difficulty is. There was even a world first race. Oh, wow. Okay, interesting. Ah, so Minwu's been getting a couple of agility boosts over the course of that, and as you can see, he just gained a level of evasion. So now, when you gain evasion in this game, it increases the number of attacks you can avoid. It increases that left number. So now he has 2 chances to avoid attacks. So if an enemy hits 2 times, he now has a 31% chance to dodge each hit. And that's as a result of him having that 21 agility. Again, it's really useful to give people shields because it increases their agility, and agility and evasion go hand in hand. So definitely give people shields. Unless they're going to use a bow, in which case stick them in the back row forever and just let them sling arrows at everything. Bows in this game are really powerful, to be fair. You need a little bit of setup to get them working, but I'll talk about that when we actually get to that point. Because there will be one character that's going to use a bow in this game. Hell, he might even be using it before we get the setup for it. I don't know. We'll see. Do I want to get anybody weapon experience here? No, not really. Just wail on them, collect their gil, and let's move on. Maria, you are slamming these enemies with that battle axe. I'm just impressed, right? Her strength is not very high, but strength in this game doesn't actually affect attack power unless you're unarmed. So it just impresses me that she's being consistently able to hit for about 100 damage on each enemy. this early in the game. Like, that's a lot of damage for Maria at this point in the game, even if she's not slinging spells around, so... Nice block. Well, we can get some weapon experience if I let these guys hang out a little bit. Like this, and then you defend, and then this, and then you defend, and then we'll go from there. I don't think defending actually increases your likelihood to dodge attacks, so just keep that in mind. Oh, you have less than 30 HP because Varian just killed with a 27. Interesting. Yeah, we'll let everybody clean up once they're done with their weapon experience. By the way, you could use two fists, like you could be unarmed in both hands and attack with that. But it's, first of all, it gives you no evasion, and second of all, it's absurdly overpowered. Like, if I was to have Guy use his fists, both of his fists right now, he would probably, at level 3, he'd probably be hitting for about 200 damage if he hit all 3 of his attacks with both fists. It's kind of ridiculous how much damage unarmed does in this game. So he'll still be a powerhouse even though he's only using one of his fists. And he'll get the bonus of evasion that he gets from just the process of using his one fist. So we'll just, you know, try to get him as best we can in that department. I might as well try to have Minwu attack. I don't think he'll be able to kill the guy. He might with the extra damage, yeah. Okay. Yeah, bare-handed unarmed attacks in this game are really powerful. There's a trade-off, of course, because like I said, if you're just using your two hands and you're completely unarmed, you have no evasion. But, you know, it's pretty damn powerful. It's about as powerful as your monks and masters get in Final Fantasy I by the end game. Well, maybe not that powerful because you've got stuff like Saber and Temper and Haste in that one. And I mean, you have a couple of buffs in this game to get you close to that, but I don't think you get quite to the same highs as you get in Final Fantasy I. Still really powerful, though, even with just one fist. So, excuse me. All right, let's canoe on over. And, well, we could go inside, but I feel like we're at the point where today we've done a lot, and I've explained a lot of mechanics. My throat is dry, and I have no water left, so I think this is where we'll leave it. And we will come back for the next episode of Final Fantasy II, the Stream Edition, on Saturday at 7 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. We'll explore Semet Falls. We'll see if we can make it through the whole dungeon in one go. I'll see how much of it I remember from memory without looking at any maps. And hopefully we'll rescue all of the captured civilians, and we'll get some mithril for the rebel army. So that's the plan, but that's going to do it for this episode. So, thank you for watching, everybody. I appreciate you coming out to Twitch and YouTube to check out the stream. I'll see all of you on the next one, which, as I said, will be on Saturday, 7 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. Until then, everybody, take care, and have a good one. Hang on, it feels weird for Furion to be saying that while giving you the sidelong glance. Let's just, there we go. Now I can say take care and have a good one, because he's actually looking at all of you.